Hi.
Uh-oh.
We're still here.
Oh, try that again. Y'all infidels were burning witches tonight. Not even Smokey the Bear is going to be able to save your ancestors this time, you stupid moron.
That's good. I'm sorry, that was fucking good. Anyways.
Well, that's my job as a woman, I think, first and foremost. And then as a writer, I got to maintain some level of, like, making sure that you know your place.
Everything that they've done since claiming the PS5 is for hardcore gamers. It's just simply appealed to the casuals.
About it. Follow me on Twitter. Preserve film, just like preserving video games. I don't know.
Hunter! What's up? In the White House? Seriously?
Well, Marvel and what Stan Lee, I think, I don't know if it was genius or lazy. He's like, let's just put them all in one city. We won't even make up a fiction, so we'll just use New York.
Here the night, what you got coming up for tomorrow?
I'm perfectly sober.
Lies.
Thank you.
Are you home? Do you have children? Must not you be their hope? Are there future generations from all of us who have failed them?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How'd you guys like that new intro?
Best intro ever.
Yeah.
I love like watching your guys' reaction as your parts like came up and just like watching everyone dying one by one. So yes, we are here. We're upping our production value, but only slightly because we're still very poor here. But we're here with episode 58 of the Barroom Podcast, and I'm joined by my lovely cast of regulars who now can apparently add their own subtext to their headlines here. I see only some people are taking advantage of that, so you may want to work on that here. But go ahead and introduce everyone here. We got a good buddy Orange Hat Reviews is here with us. How you doing today, man?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Doing pretty well so far. I see Cider is Kavanaugh. Is that the way you pronounce it right there?
No, Knuff.
Knuff. Oh, okay. Okay, now I get it. Now I get it. Okay. Sure. Joining us once again here tonight is our good buddy Nerdigans. How you doing, Nerdigans?
Good. I'm taking advantage of that display name thing. I'm putting my Cash App in there right now.
Go for it. That's all I gotta say.
The hustle.
Mm-hmm. Joining us also here tonight is Mr. Middle Class Rob Motto. How's he feeling today, Rob?
Pretty good. I get into my new job, and I'm glad that people are talking about movies. I just wish they would talk about Oppenheimer a little bit more and less about Barbie. So.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in the course of tonight because we're going to tear into some people who have some very, very dumb opinions about that film. And then, speaking of very, very dumb opinions, person who likes to talk about very, very stupid stuff is our good buddy Cole Classic Cage. How you doing?
Hey, man, chilling. Just got done playing a game that was made by two individuals. Really fun. And the main character just happens to be Ziggy. I'm convinced that Ziggy is just like him. And it's fun. So yeah, good to be here, hang out with you guys, talk about the nonsense that is what's going on in entertainment.
Well, let's go ahead and introduce our guys who are in the chat for us right now. Like I said, we're on YouTube, Rumble, and on Twitch right now at the moment. So starting off, a big buddy Neozoic, who has another intro for me to read, which I'm kind of dreading having to do this, but let's give it a shot. The live stream, which you're about to see, is an account of the insanity which befell a group of YouTubers and non-YouTubers, particularly Society Reviews and his group of friends. I don't know, friends may be too strong of a word. It does have a tragic, except they had to observe, discuss, and in Cassie's case, outrage on the matters that are much of the mad and the macabre, and they are as they were to see in everyday life. For them, an idyllic evening, a live stream with a nightmare or not, it depends. I said the events of tonight. I can't read tonight. The events of tonight were led to the discovery of one of the most remarkable podcasts in all of the annals of American history. The Barroom Massacre. Oh, wait, I mean, wrong title. The Barroom Podcast. That's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If I watched more Texas Chainsaw, I would have ran more smoothly there. So,
and it's macabre, not macabre.
Whatever. I can't read. Leslie Tarkin is joining us here tonight, saying hello to you, lovely people. In all seriousness, howdy, folks, from good buddy Neozoic. Duke Nukem joining us with a question right now. It says that if you are a Smash Brothers, what would your final Smash be? Mine's is my favorite go-to, punching someone into the sun. So, yeah, that's all it's about. So I'm not sure if you guys have anyone that you want to add to that.
Don't know. I literally don't know.
Mm-hmm. If I could get...
I guess it would be like screaming at someone enraged and then just being like a fire-breathing dragon.
So basically like Sindel, where she just like screams and then like her skin removes after. Yeah.
Sindel is one of my favorite MK characters, baby. MK9, Sindel all day, Dark Phoenix, baby.
You know, if Nerdigans would get like a white streak on her hair, she can like cosplay as Sindel for Halloween.
So did they add fatalities to Super Smash Brothers? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's like finishing moves, sort of, but not as gory.
It's PG finishers. Like, yeah, it said, yeah, Cassie sends people in the cage rage and sends them flying. Yeah, you were pretty much close enough. So there you go.
So I have to ask, like, on this regard though, Kirby can like suck up opponents and spin them back out. It's not his finisher. That should be his finisher. When you get eaten by Kirby, he gets your powers. That should be the last move that he uses on you. It shouldn't be an intermediate function.
But he doesn't need to technically eat them to get their powers. Apparently, he just has to get a taste of them.
Yeah.
It's even creepier.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kirby running around looking motherfucker.
I just envisioned a horror movie based on Kirby now, just for that.
Yep.
Oh,
Kirby was always my favorite.
We already have the Winnie the Pooh, the Cinderella, and I think there's a Little Mermaid horror movie coming out from you psycho people.
They need a Little Mermaid horror movie after that shit that Disney just released.
You know what? I just thought of it. For Halloween, Nerdigans has to play Lily Munster. Has to.
Mm-hmm.
She's the fucking goat. I don't give a fuck about Morticia, okay? Morticia's the uglier wife of the two. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Lily Munster all day, every fucking day.
I love the Munsters.
Well, we're gonna FedEx you a Party City costume, and we're gonna make that happen.
Did you see that? Cassie just made herself angry right there. Just she got mad at the notion that Morticia would be in competition in somebody's mind out there. Nobody said it.
Yeah, nobody even made the argument. It just happened.
Okay, like the Addams Family fanboys and fangirls, they think they're better than the Munsters. No. Okay, Lily is top tier. At least, in the very least.
Cassie's projecting her anger at Rob Zombie, and nobody even brought him up. It's like, it just happened.
Yeah, you ain't fucking lying, bro. What a piece of shit looking movie.
All right, Vanya's also joining us here tonight. Good to see you. Alex versus Evil in the chat right now. Like I said, we got a lot of people in the crowd. You see Cassie and Orange Hat will be there. Dope Effect joining us here tonight. We got Drewy, the Kentucky Dragon, joining us here in the chats as well. Who else do we have here? A clip of Cassie ranting. What are the odds? I know, right? It's like people were really digging our new intro that we got there. I even got a new outro, but we're going to save that for the end of the show because I want that one to be a surprise. Does Cider have more appearances than Cassie? Absolutely not. Cassie has had more appearances on the show than literally anyone else. The only person who's even close is Rob. So yeah.
I don't even know if I'm here sometimes.
Yeah.
I like to hold to my obligations. If I can't show up, it's for a good damn reason, and I definitely like to let people know
or something like that.
Yelling at somebody.
Yeah,
Shut up! Donna Summer's been dead for 10 years. It's the most depressing fucking thing that I have to live with.
They haven't made a hologram concert of her yet. Weird.
Probably. They're probably just waiting. Stashed it.
Yeah. They need to fix the AI technology. Duke says, haven't seen Nerdigan and her cat here for a moment, so I'll give you one quick little second here to shine. Little kitty pat.
Kitty, stop
If
it.
that cat
Say hi,
starts smacking you,
kitty.
I'm gonna laugh.
Mm-hmm.
Hi. No,
I gotta be honest. Every time I'm just expecting him just to claw you out of nowhere, but for once on the show, so it'll be funny.
Kitty. You don't claw me. He's a good kitty. Right? I know you good kitties.
Oh god!
Wait,
Here,
now
and then here comes this one with her cat, and then it's just like.
Okay, I've never been around cats that well behaved. Okay, I'm just gonna level with you guys right now. This has been going on for a year, and I've just been all the cats that I've come into contact with are incredibly avoidant and not, warm at all.
Have you been around boy kitties? Because girls kitties are very.
I heard that.
Are bitchy.
Female cats are hunts.
Boy kitties are so sweet and affectionate.
Decent my ass Tacitus. That was fucking epic.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't know. I have a lady cat, and she's like a roommate. I don't cuddle with my roommate. That's weird.
So there's a lot of variables.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of different
weird
variables.
If it's not consensual.
Most cats that have experienced fucked up shit in their life, they might be very avoidant and very violent. But Ziggy thankfully hasn't gone through
the
that.
only thing that gets my lady cat is a bag. You pull out a garbage bag or a grocery bag, cat's just gone. There's just fur falling from the air like Looney Tunes,
I mean, I know one. I believe the cat is dead now because this happened years ago. But there is one cat that absolutely hated me because it clawed my chest, and I just grabbed it, pulled it out, and just threw it in a pool.
Oh,
because
did it ever come out of the pool?
I love cats, but that fucking cat just deserved to be dunked in a pool.
Hey.
Okay, well, Orange Hat just admitted the cat murder. JEC Jackson Cloud is here right now.
Oh nah, that cat. I bet you. If anything, that cat dipped its toe in that pool and just in the cartoons just zipped away.
Mm-hmm.
No, I made sure it went in. It went in the deep end.
Damn.
Culture Casino's joining us here tonight, only in the chat, not on the show itself. So I mean, just throwing that out there. We did have Culture on the show on Friday night. So if you watched our Friday night Barbie Oppenheimer talk, we had a good discussion there. I also think Kirby and Melina would be good friends. Who knows? That would be one. That Disney remake that wasn't a horror movie. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're working on it right now. So don't go too far into that one. We were going to talk about that, but there's a couple other stories that popped up. So we'll get around to it on a second time. But yeah, I just think the whole thing is pretty dumb. They've been trying to uglify the MK characters basically for the last few years. I think what was it? NK9 was when they got super sexualized, and ever since then they've been trying to atone by making them look ugly as humanly possible. So yeah, that's what I feel it's been happening there. Neozoic is a good grade to our intro. Cassie never sleeps. I get a kick. Yeah, I literally got that too. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. It's live on Kick. Who's on Kick at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Monday? On a Monday.
Maybe Amaranth is.
Not me.
Oh, fuck that porn star. Wannabe porn star.
Mm-hmm. I still don't understand how there's 15,000 people watching her eat Bart. That doesn't make any sense to me. Orange Hat is the new Michael Vick. I concur. Or Don Mexico.
Who is Michael Vick?
You're gonna sit here and pretend you don't know who Michael Vick is.
You really don't know. He's the quarterback that was involved in a dog fighting, and
Yeah.
he got axed
Oh.
from the NFL for a couple of years
Oh,
because of
okay.
it. Then he made a
Yeah.
comeback.
Well, by the way, Cider, you're muted. So just in case you were trying
I
to
mean,
say.
the cat lived. Don't get me wrong. The cat lived. It just learned its lesson to never claw me in the chest again.
Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is that Vic did a couple of years for what he did, so you may want to be careful there.
Well, the cat's dead, so I don't think it could file.
Yeah,
any
that's
charges.
exactly why you might want to be careful.
No, it died from old age, like 7 years after that incident.
Oh, allegedly. We can't confirm or deny that the cat lived several years after this incident. So, well, speaking of someone who is alive right now, let's go ahead and jump into our first story of the night, and that is Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx, last week, for the first time in about 4 months, finally speaked out about his run-in with whatever he was fighting. We still don't know exactly, but we have had video here of Jamie Foxx explaining exactly what happened to him. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up here. We'll play the full video so he can explain to you exactly what he's been going through. So let's just see if we can get this to play. Hopefully, it's not Twitter anymore. It's called X. So hopefully X has a lot better video player than Twitter had. So let's go here.
Good luck.
First of all, I want to say thank you to everybody that's prayed, man, and sent me messages. I cannot even begin to tell you how far it took me and how it brought me back. I went through something that I thought I would never ever go through. And I know a lot of people were waiting, or wanting to hear updates, but to be honest with you, I just didn't want you to see me like that, man. I want you to see me laughing, having a good time, partying, cracking a joke, doing a movie, television show. I didn't want you to see me with tubes running out of me and trying to figure out if I was gonna make it through. And to be honest with you, my sister Deidre Dixon, my daughter Corinne Marie, saved my life. So
nope.
To them, to God, to a lot of great medical people, I'm able to leave you this video. I cannot tell you how
Man, it's broken.
great it feels to have your family kick in such a way, and y'all know they kept.
One of these days, I'm just going to stop
airtight,
using
they
Twitter, I
let me
swear.
out. They protected me.
You mean
and that's
Zitter?
What I hope that
The
everyone
X.
could have.
Or is it the
in
Chinese
moments like these.
pronunciation? Shitter.
Now, by being quiet, sometimes things, get out of hand. People saying what I got. Some people said I was blind, but as you can see, the eyes are working. The eyes are working just fine. They said I was paralyzed. I'm not paralyzed. But I did go through, I went to hell and back. And my road to recovery had some potholes as well. But I'm coming back, and I'm able to work. So I want to thank the people that let me work, and I just want to say that I love everybody, and I love all of the love that I got. And man, I know they talk about people crying on videos. You can do take two, but I'm not gonna do a take two. It is what it is, and if you see me out from now on and every once in a while I just burst into tears, is because it's been tough, man. I was sick, man, but now I got my legs out, under me, so you're gonna see me out. But like I said, I just want you to remember me for the jokes that I crack, the movies that I make. Some of them good, some of them ain't. I think I got a good one out. And the songs that I sing, man. And then,
And that's actually the end of the video there. So you guys pretty much get the gist of it. This is, what people were saying for the last few months. We still don't know exactly what happened. He doesn't specify what happened there. He said that he was in the hospital. Clearly, he says that whatever happened to him was extensive. Going back all the way, I believe this is when March or April when this whole thing started. The rumor was that he suffered a stroke. A lot of people were saying that, it may have been led to the vaccine. We'll talk about that here in a couple of minutes. But we hadn't heard any updates. We hadn't seen anything from him. People were saying, "Oh no, he's fine. He's playing pickleball." Then the next thing you know, it's like, well, actually, maybe worse than it turns out. So because nobody exactly knew what was going on, everyone was kind of speculating. But Jamie did release a video there. Since then, there's been people saying that oh, they cloned him, or oh, he doesn't look the same that he did like months ago. All I'll say is this. I'm not going to say that it's a clone. I do believe that it is Jamie. I think what people don't understand is that when you've been in the hospital for a long period of time dealing with very rough medical issues, you can lose a whole lot of weight very, very quickly. Let's just put it that way. And for a guy in his size and his frame, let's say, like I said, he was in the hospital for a number of months, could have lost 30 or 40 pounds. If he's just in the position now where he can kind of talk and move around, where he's not embarrassed by the way he looks now, it's safe to say that, hey, look, this is a guy that hasn't exactly been in the Hollywood physical shape that he has been accustomed to. So it's probably going to take a while for him to recover to where he was before, but he looks like he is on the road to recovery now. So that's the first part of the story I want to talk about here, and we'll get to the second half. But let's go ahead and I'll start with Cassie. What do you think about Jamie Foxx seemingly on the road to recovery? Let's just put it that way.
Well, it's good to actually confirm that, he's capable of doing the things that all the rumors are out there. At least confirm that he's he's on the road to recovery and doing well. I think that's the best thing we could obviously ask for. I was hoping, if anything, the rumors of him being blind and all that were obviously not true. Don't wish bad on the dude by any means, but this whole thing, I mean, at the end of the day, we have to accept the reality that his health is his business. Whatever he chooses to relinquish is, up to him. And you have to obviously respect that. It's just been crazy because you could tell, and people have been putting like this image of him before this whole situation, and an image from that video that he put up. And you could tell like the dude's neck is smaller. His face is definitely thinner. And you could tell like his shoulders, this dude lost a lot of weight. And just the fact that people can't come to that basic conclusion, it's like more conspiracies. It's like, guys, it's time to fucking stop. Maybe it's because from getting a shot. It could definitely be the case, but the whole conspiracy that he's a clone and blah, blah, blah. The dude lost a lot of fucking weight. It's not a clone situation. Like, come on, we have to like come to reality. And it's like, I saw this one tweet where it's like, what's up with Jamie Foxx? And I was literally like, if you watch the fucking video, then you would know. Like, what is this whole bullshit? He clearly explained he went through a major fucking health issue and he managed to survive. And obviously, it was a huge fucked up event for him. Like, what more? What's up with Jamie Foxx? Like, what a dumb fuck question. The dude had a serious health issue and almost probably fucking died. That's what happened. There's no more to be like to fake here. Oh, he's a clone. No, the dude is just fucking sick and he's recovering. That's just what it is. Like, this whole extra shit about it, man, is just insane. I'm glad to see that he's at least alive and making recovery. And whatever, it would be nice to know if this is caused by the shot or not, but at the end of the day, we're never going to get confirmation that it is what it is.
Yeah, like I said, we'll get to that part of the story here in a second. But Rob, you clearly don't believe anything Cassie just said. So what is your response to that?
No, I mean, I mostly agree with what Cassie's saying. I just like to fuck around and joke. But no, I said this from the start. I hope Jamie Foxx was going to be okay and that he recovered. It was just very scary because nobody heard anything, and there were a lot of gossip, a lot of shit going around that people weren't sure what was going on. So, and as always on Twitter, we love to speculate. So, that's always fun. I mean, I saw the thing about LeBron James' son earlier today for the first time. Apparently that happened yesterday. And I know that's a completely different thing, but it's just, after COVID, after really not believing in the media, it's sort of like, okay, what's real anymore? You know what I mean? So I'm glad he's okay. I'm glad he's on the road to recovery. But yeah, no, I pretty much agree with what Cassie said. If people are still kind of being like, he's a clone, it's like, okay, can we move on there? I'm sure we have like actual pressing things that we could be concerned with or talking about.
Yeah.
Like the Barbie movie.
Pardon. Well,
Stop jumping ahead of the show.
Right.
Well, the thing is these people are just. They are the reason why there is still a worldwide aluminum foil shortage. Let's go with that. I tend to say this. Tinfoil hat sheep have got to be the worst type of sheep out there. You cannot reason with them. They are like the Terminator. You cannot reason with them. You cannot deal with them. And they will not stop until you are dead. They do not care what you have to say. It's their way or the highway. It's unbelievable. You thought liberal sheep were crazy. You thought activist sheep were fucking psycho and stubborn. Nah, nothing beats them like tinfoil hat sheep. They are a different type of breed of crazy. Yeah. This is coming from a crazy person.
I'm clipping that out of context. Cider, what's your thought on the story?
People don't understand how lenses work on cameras. That's mainly what I'm seeing. When you're a photographer for the media, like the paparazzi are, you tend to use a wide-angle lens. Sometimes with an immense zoom function, because celebrities don't like to get up close sometimes. So a lot of the comparison photos of Jamie Foxx are from red carpet events where wide-angle lenses are being used. Now, your phone can't do that because it can't achieve a lens depth like your camera can. So what happens is the face becomes a bit narrower than it usually is. The ears go a little lower, and the nose becomes more pronunciated, as what becomes the vanishing point on the camera is a more narrow point with your phone. They try to make up with this by having the two cameras at the same time, pointed just slightly different from each other in order to achieve a little more depth to the image you're looking at. But it really can't be achieved without that actual distance. We haven't digitally figured out how to replicate that. So when you see the comparison, pictures, you're looking at Jamie Foxx at a red carpet event with a newspaper level camera. And when you see the video of him, you're seeing him with his own iPhone in a hospital room with terrible lighting. Mm-hmm. So that's the other thing. And, maybe they're right that somebody got cloned. I don't think it was Jamie Foxx because they did a shitty job if that's what they tried to do. But I don't think Jamie Foxx is the clone. Maybe they're right about one of them, but I don't think Jamie Foxx is the one.
Yeah, that's Dave Chappelle, but that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, and I don't think they cloned Dave. I don't know about Dave.
Orange, what do you think about this?
Well, I'm glad he's alive. I mean, it's finally confirmed because, like I was saying, after 4 months of hearing nothing, it's like either I'm not going to believe he's alive until I see a confirmation he's alive. But I am seriously glad he is alive. Nobody I wouldn't wish death on anybody unless they really, really deserved it, like that fucking cat. Yeah, we are going to speculate. Unfortunately, I'm willing to bet Hollywood is going to say you cannot tell people the truth if it is the poke in the arm. But I'm willing to speculate. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But the main thing is he's alive. He's better. Some people, to those of you who are claiming he was cloned, get a life. We have the technology to clone a human being, but they still have to grow. A clone of Jamie Foxx wouldn't be noticeable until it was much older and looked like Jamie Foxx now. That would take years. We don't have accelerated growth.
Yeah, you're a clone denialist.
Maybe, but we don't.
Yeah,
we have cloning, but we don't. But we're not the fucking Kaminoans from Star Wars. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's fucking science fiction, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
but I'm glad he's alive.
Yeah, Tom Cotter even said that it's a accident, and here's the thing: the reason why there's so much conspiracy behind this is because we're told that we're not allowed to question the thing that we forced everybody to get a couple of years ago, and now we're wondering why so many people are having severe health problems and or sudden deaths over the last couple of years. So let me jump over to this story really quick. Rob brought it up earlier. LeBron James' son somehow suffered cardiac arrest while working out at USC. So LeBron James' son, Bronny, I believe is his name, 18 years old, just committed to USC. The plan is he'll play a year there, then hopefully jump to the NBA, play his final season in the league with his dad. And this is a story that broke earlier today. Stunned a lot of people, but yeah, LeBron James' son suffered cardiac arrest during a workout at USC on Monday. He says while practicing, LeBron, like I said, suffered cardiac arrest. Medical staff was able to treat him and take him to a hospital. He's now in stable condition and no longer in the ICU. So they said that, what I've heard behind the scenes is that medical staff found him. He was unconscious at the time that they had found him, but they treated him. We don't know exactly the severity of his condition right now. All that's been kind of like vague. LeBron James' family has obviously made a statement saying that, thank you for the support, but we're waiting for privacy right now. So who knows exactly what's going on. And then on top of that, here's another story that broke, I think, just last night on top of this. And it was Tori Kelly, who's a Grammy Award-winning singer, rushed to the hospital after doctors find multiple blood clots called severe blood clots. She was currently hospitalized, again, treatment for blood clots around her vital organs. And people saying close to the situation that this it was a very serious situation. Keep in mind, just a 30-year-old woman here. Sources say that she was having dinner in downtown LA when her heart started beating really fast. We were told that Tori passed out for a while, and we don't know how long exactly for a while that means. And our sources say that Tori's friends wanted to make sure that she wasn't taken to the hospital downtown. They took her to Cedars, one of the country's premier hospitals, carried her outside, loaded her in the vehicle, sped her to the hospital to get it to an ambulance. She was also taken to the ICU. They discovered blood clots in her legs and her lungs, working to determine if there's any clots around her lungs. Her heart. And the singer's been in and out of consciousness since her hospitalization. Like I said, this is a 30-year-old woman. Here you have an 18-year-old basketball player in probably the best shape that he's ever going to be in his life, suddenly going into cardiac arrest. And this is why there's so many people questioning the validity of not only just the vax, but all these stories that we're hearing. They're trying to normalize this idea that, 18-year-olds perfectly healthy, in the best shape in their life, athlete 18-year-olds, they just have heart problems all the time now. This has always happened. Don't ask questions. Don't be a big deal. I think by now, at this point where we're at in 2023, we've known enough people and we've seen enough people, both in real life and in the public eye, who have suffered what we like to call coincidences, because we can't say that it's related to anything that has happened over the last couple of years with any big pharma corporation. So we're just going to say that this person suffered a coincidence. And I'm at the point where I'm sick and tired of pretending like this is normal. I'm sick and tired of pretending like there's nothing going on around here. And sure, I'll get a little personal here with this story. My mother, about 8 months ago, was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, blood cancer in her bone marrow. She was cancer-free for 20 years, did regular checkups, found nothing. Somehow, in the course of a handful of months after she got her first booster shot, there was essentially clots on her back, nearly paralyzed her, blood clots that almost killed her. All this came absolutely out of nowhere. This is not even like from a year to a year checkup. It would have been like anything you would find noticeable. And I've heard from so many other people that says that, they've had issues where people have suffered what is being called turbo cancers, where they've found advanced degrees of cancer that just came out of nowhere. I know a woman not too long ago who just lost her mother, I don't remember the exact type of cancer, but found it was already in stage 4 by the time they found it. She died a few months later. This is a woman who, like I said, they only diagnosed her like a couple of years ago. But we were seeing so much of this, especially with the younger people, which is really glaring. Because you can say that, well, these people are older, health issues happen all the time. But the fact that this is happening now and people who are in the best shape physically that they're in their life, and they're having these severe issues, this is where we have to start asking questions. Because even morbidly obese 700-pound people won't die from heart issues until they're in like their 30s and their 40s, right? And athletes are now dropping dead at like 17, 18 years old. Something's going on here, and we need to stop pretending like this is normal and stop normalizing this idea that this has always happened. So, Rob, you're the one that brought up this story. I'll start with you. What is your thoughts on the recent coincidence that happened to LeBron James' son at USC? I guess yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to feel about it, because again, I'm sorry that this happens to anybody. You know, it is an awful thing. I certainly don't wish it on anybody, but it's like, I don't know. It's almost like LeBron James is part of that class of people who pushed the vaccine, you know, and whatever reason they're tied to the public interest, you know, the NBA cares, whatever, like they're supposed to be role models and spokesmen for good health choices. And I say this knowing that LeBron James also does commercials for McDonald's, which is like the hypocrisy in that anyway. So I don't know. I feel bad for him that this happened to his kid. I don't know that it's because of the vaccine, but it's very weird that these coincidences keep happening. That soccer players collapse on the field, that marathon runners, people that train to run in fucking marathons, are dropping dead. What is that? There is something obviously wrong. I forget. I don't know what to call the undertakers, the funeral people say like, I'm sorry. Basically, the people that look at dead bodies to say that blood clots are forming in ways that they've never seen before. Yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are like very strange that have come out the last 3 or 4 years. And look, you can't say that it's directly because of the COVID vaccine, but it is a very strange set of coincidences that sort of keep coming up. And you know, again, I naturally just like to think about conspiracies just because, you know, I think it's fun, but it's starting to get really unsettling to the degree where this just keeps coming to the surface.
I mean, remember 8 months ago, we all watched a player for the Buffalo Bills literally fall down dead in the middle of a Monday Night Football game. And to this day, we still don't know what happened. They still haven't explained why this 24-year-old football player in the best shape of his life just dropped dead on national television. And we're not allowed to ask questions about what happened.
Yeah.
I would like to get an actual statistical breakdown of like people, you know, 30 and younger before COVID's, like how often did this happen on average versus now? So at least we can get legitimate numbers here, because it's one thing, like, because it's like, I'm sure that this is likely happening more than usual, but at the same time, you know, with this whole vax situation, now we concentrate on these incidences far more, and they do seem to be like, you know, happening more often to young people than I've ever noticed. But at the same time, now it's like a main topic of discussion too. Yeah. So I just would like to get legitimate numbers here so that we can see on average how much more this is happening. Because I'm left in, you know, we're all left confused, and we want to get some data here that we can have a better understanding.
Yeah, and keep in mind, like, so the best example of this happening in sports before the COVID thing was in soccer, because in soccer, every, you know, handful of years, you would have like a young player who would like go into cardiac arrest during like a soccer match where they were able to resuscitate him. Sometimes, like, very rare occasions has that player like actually died, but something messed up with like their heart rhythm, and then they had to like bring him back, and whatever the case was. And the explanation always is that, well, he had an undiagnosed heart condition, meaning that he was in such great shape that he didn't properly screen his heart, and there was something wrong with his heart rhythm. And because you're playing soccer, which requires a intense elite level of cardiovascular activity, that, you know, they didn't find it in time, and that led to a heart issue. That stuff happened like once every several years. Like, it would happen, but it wouldn't be noticeable to the point that we're seeing it now. Now we've seen multiple soccer players pass out during the middle of games. Sergio Aguero, I believe, literally retired last year because of a heart-related issue when he was, one of the top players in the world at the time. We were seeing this in basketball. We've seen this in football now, multiple occasions where we're seeing this a lot. And like I said, this only used to happen a handful of years where this would be a story. Now it's seemingly happening more and more. Like there was even an ESPN anchor a couple of days ago passed out during the middle of the coverage for a soccer game, right? And there's still debates about whether what happened to him. Some people were saying that, it was like a heat stroke, but it was like the very beginning of the game. And I'm like, look, I understand that when certain locations you go to is going to be hotter than others. I don't see how he wouldn't properly prepare for being on a field that's probably 100 degrees for a long period of time without being prepared for a hydration. Like I said, we can debate whether that one's included too, but like I said, we're starting to notice more and more coincidences every single day. And every time we're pointing out that, hey, this doesn't look right, then you get the people who are all like, oh, you're a conspiracy theory, you're an anti-vax nut. Here's the thing. I know why the media lies to us. I know why Big Pharma lies to us. I know why celebrities lie to us. Like, I get why they lie to us. I don't understand the mentality of these people who have absolutely no skin in the game whatsoever, who are battling to the death to protect the integrity of what stuff that Moderna has been doing and Pfizer has been doing. Like, I just don't understand it from a normal person's perspective why you're choosing this hill to die on, of all things.
Yeah. And it's
answer
crazy
that.
because they technically have more skin in the game than someone like me that did not get the fucking jab. Like, these motherfuckers probably are jabbed up to the fucking gill. And it's like, wouldn't you want to be at least certain that what you're doing, like, has no future ramifications? Like, you just want to live in pure ignorance? It's like, bro, like, I'm sorry, I'm no one's guinea pig. Thankfully, no one in my immediate family took that bullshit. And I do not ever intend to go near that fucking shit proudly.
Yeah.
The reason why people are so willing to believe it is essentially because of Wizard's first rule, which is, if you've read the books by Terry Goodkind, people are stupid. They will believe any lie told to them either because they fear it is true or they want it to be true. And people are afraid of the truth. Look how many people are so afraid to admit things that have been proven true over the last 4 years. I'm not going to get into details, but there have been so many things that have been debunked, so many things that have been proven false, and they still don't want to believe it because they are afraid that embracing the truth, not their truth, not her truth, not his truth, the truth, because there is only the truth, they're afraid that their life is basically going to shatter because they have to start admitting that what they believed in was wrong. And as for LeBron James's kid, I hate LeBron James. I think he's a fucking asshole. I do not, however, have any opinion on his son. I hope his son recovers. I hope that whatever happened is a fluke. But if it does turn out to be a coincidence, as you say, I am one of those people that would look LeBron straight in the eye and say, do you really want to keep supporting this shit? I mean, dude, your own kid if, God forbid, if the worst ever happened, I would walk up to LeBron, as fucking heartless as it sounds, and I would say, I'm sorry, dude, but do you really think you should be supporting this shit after your kid just became a casualty of it?
And just think about the relationship he has, him and the NBA has with China. You know what I mean? And it's just like,
they're sucking China's dick all the time.
The irony here is just too rich.
I know Cider has something he wants to bring to us real quick here.
Yep. So these are CDC numbers that have been like graphically enhanced for the purposes of normie bait. So in 2017, 2 out of 100,000 people, 274.5 deaths among white men were from heart disease, from heart failure, cardiac issues were caused by this. All right. Now, this is CDC numbers for 2022. Out of 100,000 people in 2022, 600, not out of 100,000, but out of the total deaths, 695,000 for 2021 were related to 1 in every 5 deaths in the United States was related to heart disease.
Yep.
So if that
Jesus
kind of
Christ.
puts it into perspective for you, what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's
Scary
because
shit, man.
even before like the whole COVID thing, like heart disease is always the number one killer of people. Like if you always look at the year tallies, heart disease would be number 1, cancer is number 2, and then funny enough, medical mistakes is always number 3. But that's the one that no one ever really talks about when it comes to like deaths and stuff like that.
Oops.
But
Well,
for them, go ahead.
I was going to say this. There's a video from Pro Football Doc about this, and he was saying that for young healthy men, that 1 out of 50,000 young men end up having heart problems, and that's why it's really important that that teams go do an extensive family history of of players, because if they can't catch it through an EKG, then I mean, that's the best way to do it. But but he said that this was definitely something that's common, though. Unfortunately, this was happening before COVID and all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he breaks it down really. I'll post the video in the private chat for those of you that want to see it. But yeah, he breaks it down really, really nicely on what's going on. But there's like 3 issues he said that happened particularly.
Are you talking about Mike Florio on and Pro Football Talk?
No, not Mike Florio.
Oh, okay.
Doctor, the Pro Football doctor. Different, not Mike. No, Mike Florio is not reliable for this. No, this guy was a
right.
doctor
Okay.
for I think he was for like the I can't remember if it was for the Chargers or what, but he was a actual doctor.
Okay.
Yeah. But like I said, I mean, it's a current trend that we're seeing, and this is something that I look back to, and a lot of people don't even really remember this. But remember when they first rolled out the vax about 2 years ago, maybe 2.5 years ago, and remember for like that weird 48-hour period where Europe temporarily banned the distribution of the COVID vax because they were concerned about an uptick of blood clots. Especially in people who are receiving it. Yeah, go back and find this. It might be memory hold off the internet, so you have to like dig deep to figure it out. But about 2 years ago, when the whole thing rolled out, Europe said that we're going to hold out here because we're seeing some concerning data here about blood clots. Literally, like a day or 2 after they made that announcement, they immediately reversed that decision. It's like, oh, okay, it's fine now. And it's like, wait, how do you go from we're concerned about blood clots to literally 24 to 48 hours later, oh no, everything's fine? Like, oh, so you just figured out that it was no big deal like back then? And like I said, that was something that happened. I remember specifically that happened a couple of years ago. It got memory hold. We didn't talk about it again. And all of a sudden, like I said, healthy young people, blood clots, sudden death, heart attacks, strokes, and people are pretending like, oh no, this has always happened. We've always like, no, not to this rate. And I think we need to stop pretending like it is, because look, I agree with Orange Hat. I don't like LeBron James at all, but I have absolutely nothing against his son. I hope that his son recovers from this. I don't know how this is going to affect his playing career moving forward, but I mean, his son doesn't deserve to have his career cut short because he was the victim of a let's just call it a coincidence from Big Pharma. I mean, that's, to me, it's just completely. It pisses me off a lot more ways than one. And like I said, you think that maybe this will wake somebody up like LeBron James, but then again, if you look at what's going on with Dwayne Wade and his son at the moment, I mean, maybe these people will never wake up at the end of the day. So I don't know. I just hope he pulls away from this clean, because yeah, it just sucks to hear. But any final thoughts about this one before you jump over?
Well, I mean, the reality is we're probably never going to find out the truth. I mean, look at JFK. There's still documents that are not released. We still don't have a true confirmation. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. What they told us is bullshit. This, if this comes out, if the truth comes out, and it's like, yeah, we ruined the health of the mass majority of people in this country,
generation of people
in the world. That is the breakdown of society. So they will do everything in their power to keep it hidden. That's reality of it. Even with LeBron, even if he suddenly became anti-vax, people in higher places of power would probably have a discussion with him. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, here's what I think is going to happen, and you can quote me on this show just in case this does happen. Here's how I think this is all going to play out. I think they're going to pretend like that everyone who says anything about these coincidences is crazy for at least another year, maybe another year and a half. But we all know that we got an election coming up here in 2024, and it looks like Trump is going to be the front runner again for the Republicans. If they can't find some kind of way to arrest him before the election happens, I think they're going to take this whole thing with the vaccine and turn it around on Trump and make it seem like that he's the one responsible for all the vaccine coincidences that have happened over the last few years. Because you can pick out a whole bunch of interviews that Trump has done over the last couple of years talking about Operation Warp Speed and how he saved all these lives with the vaccines and how he was super for it. So the audio is already there, the video is already there. So if enough people start suffering coincidences over the next few years to where they can't hide it anymore and people are really getting pissed off, all they gotta do is say like, oh no, this is all Trump's idea. Remember when we were saying when this whole thing started, we didn't trust the vaccine because it was his vaccine? That's what I think they're gonna end up doing. Their last resort is that they're gonna redirect all the anger directed towards the pharmaceutical companies and pointed at Trump. And you know what? Trump's an idiot for not seeing that trap being laid out, because I saw that trap being set up at least 2-3 years ago. So if I can see it, he should have seen it too. So that's his own fault there. But that's what I think was going to happen here. And yeah, like I said, I think it's going to get uglier before it gets any better, unfortunately, because this is where we're going. Yep. And that's where I feel like we're going. But let's jump over to something a little bit more happy. Let's talk about racial outrage over a country song. Now, this is a song by Jason Aldean, who, look, I don't listen to modern day country because a lot of people say, oh my God, is country going woke? Country's been woke like for decades. I don't know if you guys have paid attention, but just because the fan base of country music is conservative doesn't mean that the actual music industry itself is conservative. But there was a song that came out, I guess what was like last week, from Jason Aldean called "Try That in a Small Town," which is basically a I guess you can say an anti-protest song about all the stuff that's been happening over the last few years, especially with, let's just call it the George Floyd memorial protest. I think that's the safest way we can call it here on YouTube. So he did a song, and there was a music video, and here's some of the lyrics of the song that drove people absolutely off the wall. I'll just repeat it right here. It says, sucker punch somebody on a sidewalk, carjack an old lady at a red light, pull a gun on an owner of a liquor store. Yeah, you think it's cool? Well, you act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face, stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough? Well, try that in a small town and see how far you make it down the road. Around here, we take care of our own. You cross that line, you won't make it. You try to find it. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town. So that's literally it. That's literally like the first verse of the song. And the media's reaction was absolute meltdown. It was, oh my God, this is racist. He's inciting violence. This is a white nationalist dog whistle. All of these insane things. By the way, Rick is here. I think I forgot to jump him in, but yeah, I forgot about you there. We'll get back to you in a second. But yeah, so here's one of the insane articles that was written. A history professor for APSU, I don't even know which college this is, but he says that try that in a small town is dangerous and historically wrong. So this is what it says here. Clarksville now publishes an opinion. Oh, I'm reading that. It says, try that in a small town is a white nationalist call for vigilante violence presented by a benevolent and small town community that protects his values. It doesn't use racial terms, but the video makes the point. The video is incendiary. It's no surprise that the blah lyrics didn't create much notice when it got released as a single, but the video caused a firestorm of controversy. So in the video, which we can't play here for copyright reasons, is literally showing actual video of people committing crimes over the last few years, because I'm not sure if you guys know this, but we've kind of been in the middle of a crime wave ever since the George Floyd memorial riot. So every single major city in this country has seen an uptick in theft, murder, violence, all kinds of things, because a lot of people said a few years ago, you know what, we're going to defund the police because somehow they're the problem. And everyone's now shocked that crime is skyrocketing all across the nation. Who knew? But the music video uses images from protests, not only from the US, but from the Ukraine, Spain, Germany, Canada. This is the guy complaining here, by the way. He asserts that small towns are inherently good and cities are an evil source of violence and crime. I don't see the lie there, but small towns or rural communities do help their friends and neighbors who are in need. However, historically, small towns have been home to violence and oppression. And then he goes on to talk about like some town in Tennessee during like the KKK days, and all, like I said, everything goes back to like the KKK in the 20s or like Tulsa, Oklahoma. And then the other point that they were upset about here was that a part of the music video is filmed in front of which building was this specifically? It was filmed in Columbia, Tennessee, where a 17-year-old African American was lynched in 1927. So because some black kid was lynched there in almost 100 years ago, that's a dog whistle to, yeah, we need to start hanging black people or some nonsense related to that. And it's funny to me how there's been this outrage about this country song because obviously it's showing exactly what's been happening in this country the last few years. And the word that they wanted to use is, this is dangerous. This is going to incite violence. I know you guys have seen this, but I'm going to ask you this question. How many music videos have you seen in the last couple of years that have been promoted by the mainstream media that have absolutely obscene and abhorrent lyrics that have promoted violence more than one day that you could possibly think of, that have just been like the most detestable things you can possibly imagine in your mind? And they've said absolutely nothing bad about those things. They've even gone out of their way to promote it. And to prove that point, I know that his video, Jason's video, is in the top 5 in the Hot 100 right now. Another song that's also in the top 5 in the Hot 100 is a song from Gunna, who's a guy who, keep in mind, like a year and a half ago was on trial for like a possible RICO case. And he has a song that's on the top 5 right now called, and I'm not making this up, Fuck You Mean. So if you want to talk about dangerous and obscene lyrics, go look up the lyrics of that song and then compare it to the ones that I just thought up, and ask yourself which one is really exciting more violence, which one is potentially more dangerous. And I do have one more point I'm going to make on that before we wrap this one up, but I'll start with Rick since you just got here. We kind of forgot that you were here for a minute. What do you think about people reacting to this country song, calling it dangerous, and going as far as say it's inciting violence?
Well, I think it's exaggerated. One thing that I'm puzzled by is when they bring up, oh, there was the video was shot where a lynching took place. Unless they can prove, all the people who say this, including some people who are, the true voice of true and pure conservatism, but who love Uncle Joe, unless they can prove that he selected it specifically because he knew that there was a lynching there and was somehow endorsing lynchings, I don't think you can pin that on Jason Aldean. I'm sure he did not know that there was a lynching that happened there. It just seems so strange that he would know such minutia of history in this small town. I think people have just kind of taken a little bit of have overreacted to this. I mean, this is his viewpoint. He has every right to share his viewpoint musically. Do I think it's a good song? Not particularly, no. I mean, but I'm not like big into country. Anything past George Strait is not something that I care much about. But geez, people, calm down. I mean, let the man, let the man have his song, and I'm sure that people will forget it in a while. But yeah, just calm down with it. You can't prove that he specifically picked that site because of that. That's the one thing about this whole brouhaha that I'm perpetually perplexed by. Why are they picking on him just because he picked a location? It's not like he has burning crosses behind him and people dressed up in robes. So where do they get the idea that?
Hold on a second. You don't do a history lesson of like every black person that's ever been killed at any location you shot in before you decided to shoot there over the course of the last 100 years?
The irony that both those things are in Django Unchained, which we were just covering Jamie Foxx, so I just want to point that out. I just want to say I've never listened to this song. I was literally talking to my mom about this topic, telling her I was going to cover this on the podcast tonight. And basically, look, you want to compare this song to all the fucking gangster rap and hip hop that's constantly promoted that is about what? Murdering people, fucking bitches, doing drugs, you know. And it's like, so it's, guess what? Country music are basically folk songs, and this is a sort of brash attitude that he's saying, hey, don't fuck with me and mine. Don't fuck with what I care about and why I believe in this country. It's just, that's all it is. It's just a guy who's blowing off some steam over the downward trajectory that we've seen in this country. And look, I think some of this is also played up by Jason Aldean as being sort of the crusading American country singer. You know, so I try to see through on both sides of this, but no, I completely agree. And by
it's
the way,
like the number one song or some shit. It's crazy.
No, yeah. And that's what I was telling my mom. I was like, for him to have the number one song, not country, not, you know, pop, not whatever, but the number one song in the country, to me, that's beyond one demographic. To me, that transcends any group of people. And so, you know, people on Twitter can say whatever the fuck they want, but at the end of the day, they're not the ones buying his records or listening to his music, so it doesn't matter.
The way I see it is, I actually did a video on this, and I read the lyrics out, played the video, and everybody's saying, oh, this is so racist. They're talking about black people. And it's like, there isn't a single mention of race. And for you guys to all come to this assumption that they're talking about black people, that makes you sound racist. And people
hold on a second, Orange Hat, because they're saying, no, it's a dog whistle. See, he didn't say anything about race, but we know what he really meant.
Well, then, no, that doesn't work either. Because if you look at all the shit in the video, by the way, this movie or this song came out in May, folks. This is months old, this song. They didn't have a problem until the video was released. And if you look at that video, which I have in depth, 98% of the people in that video are, ding, 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 you guessed it, white.
I just looked at it before this podcast, and it's like, it's a mix of people. I've seen a lot of white people.
98% of them are white. I only saw the one person that lit up the flag was black. That was it. And maybe a couple of people who are covered in shit that are trying to rob the store. I don't know. I can't make an identification on that. But here's the thing. For them saying it's a racist dog whistle, again, you are going there yourself making that assumption. What does that say about you? And honestly, I'm only bringing this up because it is relevant, because the song is the topic right now. I went to my 20-year class reunion, and they actually played that, or the DJ actually played that song. Everybody enjoyed it because here's the thing. I come from a small town. We're small town people. We love a nice, peaceful place. If you come into our town and you pull that shit, chances are the town is going to turn on you and make sure that you get the fuck out of there. Or if you try anything deadly, well, there's a lot of swamps around. That's all I'm saying. But the thing is, folks, this song isn't racist. This song is not a racist dog whistle. And the people who are trying to drum up history and all this other stuff to try their best to come up with an excuse to hate this song, guess what? You only made it more popular, and you basically exposed yourselves as a bunch of fucking fools.
I mean, I'm guilty as fuck of liking shit like Natural Born Killers by Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
Ice Cube, like Colors, but from Ice-T. Like, I'm guilty as fuck of liking some very violent music, but not with intent of me to become violent by any means. Like, it's just interesting to hear people like
take it there, just to go there with it. Like it's interesting because I wouldn't personally do it. And I just watched the music video and listened to the song the first time just before the podcast, just so I understand the context. And yeah, there's like a mix of different races. I see a lot of white people there. I'm sure that this is a lot of it is in regards to the BLM as well as the Antifa protests back, a few years back. And I will say this, like I personally watched I remember during, the riots, they were saying, yeah, we're gonna go tear up Gettysburg, PA. And guess what? Like a fuck ton of motherfuckers showed up and said bet. And guess what? Nothing happened. Just people just was out there. And yeah, basically all those threats, and obviously you know what was going to happen. They were going to tear up that fucking town. They were going to destroy all the statues. Gettysburg is one of the most historic places in America. It's a huge, the biggest thing out there is the tourism. If you don't have tourism, I think Gettysburg there would be nothing else. It's so obnoxiously touristic, actually. And yeah, just because these people said motherfucker bet, and there was a bunch of people that are ready for whatever, there was no Antifa, no BLM to be seen at all. They fucking knew better. And that's just how it is. I support anything that de-escalates violence. And, sometimes just saying, like, fuck around and find out, that in itself will de-escalate violence. And in regards to the song, I mean, to me, it's not a big deal. I just find it interesting that I don't consider, like, a song that discusses violence when it's done by a black person to be racist in any way, shape, or form. Unless they deliberately state such. And that's how I feel about a white person doing the same thing. Just because they deliberately discuss violence doesn't mean it's inherently based upon race. And from what I've seen and what I listened to, there's not necessarily any race relation to it. It's based upon people that choose to be violent. Now, if you think that only black people are violent, then that says more about you as a fucking person, because I've seen a lot of crazy shit done by a lot of people that are not black. I've seen it. All right. We've seen it with our very own eyes. They're just discussing, generally speaking, people that are violent pieces of shit. And yeah, maybe fuck around and find out. That's really what it boils down to.
I'm generally surprised that they would want to tear down the statues at Gettysburg, or they are not aware that that was a Union victory and that literally turned the tide.
They don't understand history.
No, Rick, you don't understand.
They don't care about that.
They only understand basic Google search history just to find something to bitch and whine racism about. That's the only time
these people concept of history is that any white person born in 1950 must have owned a slave. So that's their only concept of U.S. history. And here's the thing that bothers me, or I find very hilarious, is that they specifically use the words dangerous to describe these lyrics, saying that, oh, this is going to excite violence. And on the flip side, as we've shown over previous discussions that we've had here, they're now at the point where they're trying to pass laws in certain states so that rappers cannot be put on trial based on the crimes that they admit to within their own songs. Like I said, Jay-Z and Meek Mill have been all on this. I think they passed in either New York or California, one of those two states, where because these rappers cannot stop confessing to legitimate crimes in their music, that now we have to pass laws in order to keep these people out of jail. This is how far we've gone. And nobody makes any note of this. Like Cassie was mentioning earlier about like people like NWA back in the day when they were hitting the scene, and people were saying that, oh, well, their music is dangerous. Look at them inciting violence. And their lyrics were way more violent than anything in this song. But what was the defense there? Oh, First Amendment, bro. Oh, you don't like the First Amendment? You don't like freedom of speech? That's how they defended it 30 years ago. Now all of a sudden we're flipping it on its head where it comes to country music and be like, oh no, okay, this is too far. Now we need to step in and call this out for what it is. Like, get out of here.
It's interesting. I was reminded that I believe it was President George H.W. Bush who had condemned Ice-T for that Cop Killer song, which was graphic, and people were like, oh well, you're stomping on his rights and you shouldn't comment. This guy, Jason Aldean, I presume he writes and performs a song where he's bemoaning how larger communities are destroying themselves, and that if you try that in a small town, in a smaller community, you will not get away with it, and that's supposed to be inciting violence. So this it kind of goes to like when people were convinced that going to see a Joker was going to lead to more mass rioting. But what we I guess it's fine when the protests are fiery but mostly peaceful versus when you have a song performed like this. I don't
And
know.
a couple of more final points. This song, they love to claim is calling out violence. Listen to the lyrics, one line in particularly. I recommend you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like he's saying, fuck around and find out if you want, but I don't recommend you do.
But you know, in the minds of leftists, telling people that, hey, if you guys cross a line, I will defend myself, and that in their minds that's inciting violence. Because you're gonna put your property over my life, because if you decided that my property is worth your life, then that's exactly what I'm gonna do.
But
Well,
so
as my
what's really
Democratic
bizarre?
social, so go ahead. Go
No,
ahead,
I just
Rob.
want to say what's really bizarre is that they're defending the destruction of like civilization, and anybody that stands in the way, anybody that says no, or denies, I don't know, these absolute ghouls from setting fire to buildings or breaking into people's cars or killing or trying to kill a liquor store owner who's literally just trying to make a living. It's like, is that what you're defending? You're defending like just pure
It's
degeneracy?
literal lawlessness. It's literal lawlessness. Is
Well,
what they're doing.
as my Democratic Socialist said, they have insurance.
Yep, that's what they always say.
Here's
Well,
the
you
thing.
know what else they got? They got bullets too. So hopefully you
To
have
give a good
insurance.
example, from as a final point to this, there is a person in my town who is as racist as they come. He's an anti-white racist, and we are a predominantly white neighborhood. And he's basically doing the whole fuck around and find out thing, but he's fucking around and finding out not in a violent way. We're just not allowing, or nobody's hiring him. He's looking to do jobs here and there around the town. Nobody's hiring him. And now he's calling everybody racist. And it's like, dude, you freaking made your outlook as clear as day. And you apparently see us as evil, oppressing people. Well, here's the thing. You and your hatred have no place here. So we don't have to kill you. We don't have to beat you. We don't have to do any of that stupid shit. We'll just make it so you're going to have to leave in order to find a job elsewhere.
There's always New York City.
No, not anymore. Not anymore. There, it's no longer a sanctuary city.
I want to bring this up real quick. Our final point on this topic is that this is a video that I saw earlier this week floating around. And keep in mind, there's a big group here in Atlanta. I think it was a Young Thug. And I mentioned Gunna earlier. He was one of the guys that's on trial. Apparently, there's this big crime ring here in Atlanta. Big gang activity going on. So the government started investigating a lot of these rappers to find out that they're actively working for criminal organizations. And then I saw this video throwaway. Now you talk about people being dangerous. Everyone's out here crying about Jason Aldean. Listen to this topic. Listen, watch you blow your mind here.
And now that, and it's ironic you brought it up because my manager, Derek Dudley, is doing a documentary on the DA's office. And they said since Thug and the YSL and the YFN crews have been locked up, the murders have gone down 35%. You know what I'm saying? So I think when you look at life and you look at where we are, Atlanta's in a reconstruction musically and who we are as a city. You know what I mean?
So just in case you didn't catch that, he says that since these rappers and the gang members that they've been associated with have been locked up over the course of, I guess, the last year, maybe a couple of years now, that murder in the city has gone down 35% just by arresting these people. And then these are a couple of the top rappers that are in the game right now. And you want to talk about people being dangerous to their community? I mean, do you really want to play that card? Like, do you really want to go all in on that one? Because this may not be the hill you want to die on, if that's the argument that you're going to try to make here. But
it's interesting that what is it? The president of El Salvador had that issue where it was a lot of gang violence and really chaotic.
MS-13, right?
Yes, and well, he just arrested them, and what is it? He is at 92%. I think 92% popularity, and crime has gone way down. But of course, people are very upset. I don't know why people are upset. I'd have to look into the whole case, but yeah.
Well, it's funny. Whenever you start getting justice to criminals, there's a certain demographic of people who seem to be very upset by that, by people actually meeting justice in real time. And it's always people who sympathize and identify with criminals. And when they see criminals getting their just rewards, that's when you'd be like, oh, there's something morally wrong about here. It's like, no, it's your moral compass that's screwed up, not everybody else's. So
Tommy Vito had less viciousness in him than some of these fucking people. So Joe Pesci, by the way, in Goodfellas, if you're unfamiliar.
Yeah. MS-13 should be shoot on sight, if you ask me. I mean, we have politicians that literally said, oh, MS-13 had the spark of divinity in them. And I'm thinking to myself, bitch, if you want them, have them at your house.
Yeah, you go take them over there, whether you can be menaces to society. But let's switch gears here, because we've been dealing with real life topics here in the first part of our show. So let's go into a lot more foolishness here. Let's talk about Disney. Is Disney legitimately considering doing a sequel trilogy to the sequel trilogy? Because there's talks now that John Boyega, he's thrown it out there that, hey, he's open to coming back. Even though, like, literally last year he said that he's done with Star Wars. He's never coming back. Now, all of a sudden, when it comes to returning, I'm open to all opportunities. So, in case you guys didn't realize, Disney Star Wars is planning on another trilogy that they're working on in the course of the next few years. They've already announced that Daisy Ridley is back. So now there's people throwing out the suggestion, is John Boyega going to come back as Finn? Well, when asked about it, he says that he's open to the possibility of returning to the Star Wars franchise. He's down to return after literally saying last year he would never return. Boyega's comments comes after he aired out his frustration over his character was diminished in the subsequent films. He even went as far as to say that the Last Jedi was the worst film experience he had out of the three, even though that everyone else said that was the worst film. You were a sexist for saying that. But given that he's had a chance to reflect, now he's more open to any opportunity that comes his way. Oh, I wonder why he's now suddenly open. Maybe that career hasn't exactly taken off outside of that Star Wars universe.
Yeah, Pacific Rim wasn't the gem it was supposed to be, huh, Johnny?
Yeah, that Netflix film with Jamie Foxx didn't exactly blow audiences out of the water.
Well, I presume now that there are fewer, fiery but peaceful protests, which is what he was indulging in at the time, he needs to do something.
Yep. So he says here, that was a few years ago. They were subject to a particular project. So now he's saying, well, I was only talking about that movie. I wasn't talking about Star Wars in general. Yeah, okay. But I'm open to all characters and scripts that are enjoyable. And I had a great cast attached with a terrific director. So yeah, I'm open to all opportunities. This is contracts of 2020 when he voiced his displeasure about how the thing went out. He says that you get yourself involved in projects, you're not necessarily going to like everything. But I would say that Disney is to do not bring out a black character, market them to be much more important to the franchise that they are, and then push them aside. It's not good. I'll say it straight up, right? So there's rumors here that they could be trying to bring him back, maybe trying to bring back some other people as well. And then here's my question. It's like, I know all of these things are in flux. They just lost a massive amount of money on the Indiana Jones movie, which absolutely flopped, even though comic book resources try to claim that it broke even because they don't actually know how the box office works. But look, the Disney Star Wars sequels were a flop by all metrics here. The first one did a big number because everyone wanted to see what the new Star Wars is going to look like. I think the second one only did half of that one, and then the third one did even less than that, which means that interest in the Star Wars franchise got worse with every single output. And now are they in the position now that because they have absolutely nothing else with Lucasfilm, that they're going to try to essentially reboot the sequel trilogy that they just finished. So you've already brought Ray back. I'm pretty sure somebody at Disney is talking to John Boyega, seeing if they can bring him back to be a part of this whole thing somehow. Orange, I'm gonna start with you. The idea of a sequel to the sequel, is this a good idea, or is this basically Disney throwing a Hail Mary, hoping that they can complete a pass in the end zone right now?
This is a desperation Hail Mary, and here's the reason why. They are calling it the New Jedi Order, which, if you are a Star Wars fan like I am, you know that that is sacred ground. You do not touch the New Jedi Order storyline, because that is one of the most popular storylines in the entirety of the Star Wars EU, the Yuzong Fong War. And to have them take that title and put it and attach it to their shit, literally, that is sticking against the wall and just sliding all the way down, trying to say, we're going to revive it, we're going to bring it back. They're also doing it to one of the greatest trilogies of books ever written from the EU, Heir to the Empire, with the Ahsoka with the Ahsoka stuff, and that's got people pissed off too. I mean, there a lot of people. I've stepped away from discussing Star Wars in the community on Twitter and shit, but I have no problem talking about it here because honestly, there's people here that are not assholes. But to take this and to try to reinvest interest in a character that nobody liked. You wrote her so terribly, and yes, you got people that are trying to defend her. Yes, she did have a hero's journey. She freaking downloaded the Force by touching somebody. I'm sorry, there ain't no defending that.
I mean, she technically beat Kylo Ren in like their first fight in the first movie, so
yeah, downloading the Force basically. Because, or through touch and shit from the second movie as well. And the first movie, bested by a woman who hadn't even held a lightsaber. And it's like, dude, where is she getting all this shit? Now in Star Wars, there is a such thing as raw talent. But, or as Disney says, training or talent without training is nothing. That's using your own fucking words against you. You trying to put out a New Jedi Order with Rey at the helm. I'm sorry, as much as I don't blame Daisy Ridley. I mean, I don't agree with a lot of what she says, but I do not blame Daisy Ridley for the failures of the writers and directors of the Disney trilogy. I'm not going to call it a sequel trilogy. It's not Star Wars. The Disney trilogy. And they have, or them taking a New Jedi or the New Jedi Order and putting that in their camp. They've taken they've already taken a bunch of different things, cherry picking from a canon that they said doesn't exist, and now they're saying, oh well, we're going to take this and we're going to revive interest in it. It's like, no, you're going to revive hatred in it. Yes, you're going to get the people who just want to see Star Wars to go, sure. You're going to get those people who are just happy to have Star Wars. It's Star Wars. Or you got to like Star Wars because it's Star Wars. I could take a piss in a jar, folks. I could slap the Star Wars logo on it, and I could sell it to these idiots that are going to watch this, and they will think that it came from a bantha, which is a creature in Star Wars. That is how gullible these fucking fools are. And honestly, everybody's like, oh, Kathleen Kennedy is going to be fired. Fuck you. This is only going to get her even more freaking years at Lucasfilm.
She's never gonna leave. Cider, let me ask you a question real quick. As a normie hip hop fan like yourself, what does Lucasfilm need to do at this point in stage to get somebody like you interested in the possibility of yet another Star Wars film in the next 3 to 4 years?
Soft reboot Rey's origins with this new order. There was a story that Sidious told Vader. Remember, he was like, Plagueis figured out how to make babies with the Force.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to think that they might stick in something that explains why Rey is just so like with it. Because you can do that in these stories. Like Luke was really great. He was not trained as a child. He got like 6 months of this before he got thrown into the Vader blender and lost a hand. All right. he didn't even go backpacking with Yoda until before he got thrown in with dear old dad, and he still managed to hold his own for a little bit there. So Rey, of course, is way more multitudes over the top of that. But take, for instance, this. Vader is so grief-stricken over the supposed death of Padme and the children they were going to have together, Yeah. So he's grief-stricken. So he invokes the Force, and it doesn't kick in until he dies when the Emperor shocks him. So when he leaves, Rey is born back on Tatooine, okay? Or wherever she is, right? Force nexuses, those things exist.
Yeah.
So if they had just explained that she was the daughter of Vader's grief, then all of it would have made a little bit more sense, and it would have been a little bit more tolerable that she's just this ridiculously good at everything character. It would have tracked that, like, maybe she's the reincarnation of Vader, because it doesn't have to follow gender-specific stuff. There's a little bit of that you can feed at to get back like some sense out of the whole mess that they've made. That's all it would take for me, really, is getting it back in line with like any semblance of what came before it. It's like I wrote fanfic for 10 years, okay? So it reads like fanfic. It reads like I saw this movie, I appreciated this character and nothing else about it. So I'm going to steal the name and this atmosphere, and then I'm going to do whatever the hell I want with it, everything else. And that's what it feels like to me. So by bringing Rey, the main anchoring force of this new effort, no pun intended, by bringing Rey back into line with what came before her, that would really bring me back into their whole effort here, because she's going to be the center point going forward. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say real quick. I mean, you laid out a better path for them that they're gonna go with. The only problem is that they have the mentality, not just with Lucasfilm, but Disney in general, that we don't want people who actually know about the source material that we're writing from. We want someone who can just basically make up a whole new, fresh story and pull something out of their butt. So if you actually know anything about the Star Wars lore, they're gonna be like, "Oh, that's a red flag. We can't hire this person. We need someone who's wrote a couple episodes of Steven Universe, and then they'll be the person that is in charge of this thing going forward."
JDA was at the Star Wars IDW panel, and they were all bragging that they hadn't watched any Star Trek before they had joined the IDW company, that they had never watched it until they started writing for it.
Yep.
And here's another.
Just real quick, I mean, that's basically an edict that's coming from the top down. Like, you can sit here and say it's like, yeah, these people know nothing about the lore that they're writing for, but that's the reason why these studios are hiring them now, and they're wondering why this stuff is being rejected en masse.
But that's a curious thing for me, is that if you don't know the source material, why are you then mocking those who do know the source material? They know more, and they can keep up with the inconsistencies and the contradictions. But you, as someone who is completely outside the material, you're creating something that's supposed to establish what these people, these fans, already know. It's like I mentioned on Twitter, when they brought in Mario Puzo to write the Superman script, or to co-write it. He didn't know anything about Superman. So what did he do? He read back issues so that he could understand what it was. And that's when he said, this is a great tragedy, because the man has lost his world and he has to come to this new world and kind of create his life here on an alien planet to him. So I'm perplexed. As for the sequel, as for having a sequel, first, you have to have people interested in not just Rey, in her continuing adventure, but in the new, I'm assuming, Padawan that she is going to have. So we need to create a whole new character in a whole new series. I don't know if there's enough interest, especially, and I've said this before, when in that first Star Wars film, when she's fighting emo Vader, and he says, "I can, come with me. I can train you." I literally said in the theater, "Why? She's doing a much better job than you are." It was just so insane.
Yeah.
But so you've got to have a whole. You're going to try to build three films, that are going to stretch a story that for most fans has ended. I mean, I think it should have ended with Return of the Jedi, but
Yeah.
you
Thank you.
extended it.
Thank you.
Yes, you extended it to 3 more, and you got such a mess in what was it, the last Jedi, or the second one, the one where it's like, oh, you're really nothing. You're not from anyone, and so there was no fixing it after that, and now you're going to try to extend it, and finally, who's really that invested in the character of Finn or Rose Tico or any of these other characters? Who's that invested that they want to say, oh, yes, I want to see more stories with him and with her or with any of the other characters? Apart from Emo Vader, I don't remember any of these other characters. And the only reason I remember Emo Vader is because my friend and I just kept mocking him and how he just couldn't let go of his grandfather's ghost and all of this. I don't know if there's enough interest. We've seen the TV shows. Not many people are watching them, assuming that they're going to ever be seen again, and Disney doesn't pull them off their streaming service. Who's really going to be interested in more of these stories now? Maybe it's a time just to give it a rest, let the fans keep their books, which I've not read, and just try to move on, and then maybe over time, maybe start building up interest. But not now. No, I don't think anyone's going to flock to see the continuing adventures of Rey and her new Padawan, whoever he or she may be.
Most likely going to be Finn because they made him force sensitive to, or all of a sudden in the third movie. But yeah, one more point on this. They literally have no basis for where to go with this. I mean, if or to get a better acceptance, just call it the new or the Jedi's legacy or something. Do not call it a new Jedi or the new Jedi Order. Just call it the legacy of the
They're
Jedi.
going to
or
do something to piss
like
people
that.
off. It's like,
yeah, so
of course.
Well, of course they
That's
are
the
because
only
they are
thing-
purposely
that's the
going
only
after
thing-
the older fans.
Well, I mean, look at what's happening with Superman, with My Adventures with Superman. They've been race swapping. They've been like downgrading the designs, and hell, they made Lois Lane Korean.
Yeah,
Why the fuck would they make her Korean?
Because they want to take anything good in your life and ruin it. Okay, that's why.
Well, wait a minute. We've already had a black Jimmy Olsen. Why can't we
Listen,
have a Korean Lois
I just
Lane?
want to say this real quick. I said goodbye to Star Wars a long time ago, so this is nothing for me. But I'll say this: John Boyega wants to keep working. Like all actors, he wants to keep working. Of course, I want to be involved in blah blah blah. Yes, they all want to keep working and getting a paycheck. That's what.
Not during the strike. Not during the
And
strike.
I'll say this: Star Wars, the movies have been a complete flop, even with their fans. The only moderately successful thing they've done, Disney has done with Star Wars, is like the Mandalorian, which has fallen off a cliff. I heard Andor was good, but I've gotten pushback saying it's not or it doesn't hold up. So I think that as a like a franchise of Disney's, it's kind of flailing like a lot of their products. And I hope it continues to. But for the fans out there, I feel sorry for them. I grew up with those original movies and I love them, but I mean, that's just it's nowhere near what that was. I mean, so I feel sorry for the fans is basically the long and short of it.
Star Wars originally revolutionized the movie industry. Or even the prequels took a bigger or did a job at advancing the movie industry at that time. There's no revolutionary aspect to the Disney trilogy. And this new trilogy that they're doing also doesn't have that gravitas or weight. That is why for all intents and purposes, Star Wars is dead. I agree with Rob. Star Wars is dead. And as Disney loves to say, kill or forget the past, kill it if you have to. Maybe they should, because honestly, nobody is caring about this new age of Star Wars except for the fans that they brought in.
Well, maybe they should keep going the way that the My Adventures with Superman team is going, because man, it is drawing up a massive Tumblr crowd.
Yeah, I'll let Cassie finish.
Overall, I hope it is the biggest fucking joke. Like, I hope they continue with all the race swaps. I hope they continue doing the most outrageous fucking things that they can pull out of their asshole. Please, Kathleen Kennedy, go full Kathleen Kennedy. I just want everything that they make to be a complete total abomination, so I can hear one day that Disney itself is a fucking thing of the past, because fuck that company.
Well, with the prequels, at least you already had an established character, which was Anakin, and we were supposed to see his evolution into the dark side, and I don't think we really did. With what came after Return of the Jedi, you were trying to create a whole new character, a whole new set of a new group of people with some from the past, like Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, but not a lot of fans of the Star Wars, as far as I know, really embraced that. And now you want to extend it. There's not enough passion, in my view, for the new characters that came through the what you call the Disney sequels, for them to get more people to watch and embrace it. But who knows? Maybe we'll have a whole film based around that casino. That would be something to see. I'm sure that would be very exciting.
Do what Alex said and make Ray pregnant and have her doing flippity stupid shit, please.
Oh my god, that whole
And do it in the
pregnant thing.
womb too. Do it in the womb.
Yeah.
That whole pregnant thing. I called out a larger YouTuber on that because they honestly have no idea how production shit works. It's like because there was that whole leak of a pregnant Ray thing, and I'm like, first off, they didn't even begin production. So how the hell is that even real? It's freaking Photoshop, folks. Just learn and they continued to double down on it, and that is why I don't freaking follow a lot of these bigger channels anymore. It's because they're just clickbaiters. They're pieces of shit that are just trying to get more money so that they can earn clicks, so that they can basically make themselves feel like they actually are important. And when you are that kind of YouTuber, if you are just being a clickbaiting piece of shit, I have no respect for you.
Okay, we get it. You don't like Doomcock, Jesus.
It wasn't Doomcock.
But I'll say this. Look, I will say this. Like, yeah, look, Disney Star Wars is done. It's toast. A lot of Disney's brands are toast, which is why I heard a story which may actually have some validity to it when you look at the pocketbooks here, but I heard that Disney behind the scenes has been looking at Apple as a possible investor of some of its major assets. Now, keep in mind, Apple is like, what, a $1 to $2 trillion company, and the cash at hand that they have right now is like astronomical. This is ridiculous. So if there is one company or one corporation out there that could possibly buy off some larger assets from Disney, maybe like Lucasfilm or Star Wars, it would be Apple. Now, that doesn't mean that Apple buying Disney in any way, shape, or form is going to make any of this any better, but it is a possibility that's out there. So,
we'll just say
that Apple's got to be careful though, because Apple's already on the fringe of antitrust, breaking antitrust laws. So,
I mean, I get that we have to have like this 6-month dog and pony show where we pretend like we're trying to stop monopolies, but I mean, I don't have that much faith in the government of them stopping Apple when it gets to it. I mean,
Disney just does not want to learn. They keep bleeding the properties that they buy dry. They've bled the Marvel Cinematic Universe with all their TV shows, and now the Marvelettes, assuming it does come out, supposed to be a sequel to Secret Invasion. I mean, I'm sorry, who's really watching that? Or
I'm just real quick on Secret Invasion. I was supposed to be doing the episode by episode review of Secret Invasion. I think I got to like the first episode and just gave up. So I think I'll do one on the entire season, but I'm not doing each episode by episode. That's
Secret. They're so desperate with Secret Invasion that they actually put it on Hulu.
Yeah.
But the Marvels is supposed to be a sequel to that, and to what is it? Maybe WandaVision or other programs that people have not watched. And now they did the same thing with Star Wars, where they put up all of these shows. They put up Andor and The Mandalorian and Obi-Wan, which I think no one liked. So and now I mean, if they just don't learn. They just don't learn. They're bleeding the property dry. They're determined to milk as much money out of it, and it's not working.
I said this months ago. I said this pretty strongly too. Out of all of this woke Hollywood nonsense, Disney is going to be the last one to fall, and they are going to go down with the ship. They're not going to be one of these ones that try to jump off, at least give the illusion that they're going to jump off. They're going down with the ship, and they will be the last one to burn. So,
and that is, while that is true, it might happen sooner than expected because Hollywood's currently imploding.
Yeah.
Well, if they're trying to use the strike as an excuse to pull the Marvels from being released this year, just think about what it was sandwiched between. And I've mentioned this before. It was sandwiched in between Doom Part 2 and the Hunger Games prequel. They really think that the Marvels was going to be that popular that it was going to threaten either of those. So maybe that's why.
By the way, they're talking about delaying the Marvels for the 5th time. This is a movie that was supposed to be out last year. The original air date for this movie was July 8th of 2022. Now here we are, November 2023, and they're talking about pushing it back another 6 months.
Burn, Disney, burn. I love to fucking hear it. Delay that bitch indefinitely. I hope this motherfucking company burns to the fucking ground. Fuck these
Amen,
pieces
Cassie.
of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
I mean, we're not going to get a whole lot of joy in these final days, so Disney going down in flames will be one of the few things that we can actually celebrate. So, yeah.
Well, you saw what Marvel's doing, trying to push the Marvels, is by pushing Ms. Marvel into everything. And
which is dumb because she had the lowest drawing Disney Plus show. Nobody even watched her show.
It gets worse.
Nobody even bought. No, that bitch is a cancer to everything. Like her comic books don't sell. No one gives a fuck about her show. What a piece of shit. Waste of fucking a creative attempt.
It gets worse because if you look at the Hellfire Gala preview, the way oh my god, Emma Frost and Scott Summers are talking about her, it makes it sound like she's always been a mutant and an Inhuman the entire time. It's like, are you freaking serious?
Except that they're really incompatible genetic wise.
If the Marvels keeps to its original release date, to its most recent release date in November, I will support it by watching Dune about 5 times.
There you go.
Hey, just be glad that Dune might, you know what I mean? Just be glad that Dune doesn't get pushed to 2024 at that rate, because they're saying that it might be. So we'll see.
Yeah, I saw that. But if that's the case, then probably Oppenheimer will definitely win Best Sound.
Well, I want to jump into.
It has no competition with Dune.
You know what Hollywood's lucky about is they're lucky that Toei isn't doing any freaking marketing for the first Slam Dunk, because that's coming into theaters too.
I'm probably gonna see that on Thursday if all things go well. And I actually did thought about reviewing that one, but it's like, we'll save that one on ice for now. But I will probably check it out this weekend because that's the only thing in theaters that I'm looking like I want to see at this point.
I've heard from even my Aniplex insider, was a working director who saw it. He said it was probably one of the best movies he's seen in a minute.
What's it called?
The first Slam Dunk.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like an animated movie, but it looks pretty good from what I've seen. So
yeah,
what's the next topic?
It's based on the manga called Slam Dunk, which is a basketball manga, and the actual mangaka Inwa directed it, and I think was a writer on it as well. So it is very, very well done from what I've heard.
Well, I do want to go to a short one right here before we just completely explode on the closer here. So here's a little preview for an article that I'm working on with Bounding in the Comics based on the whole Barbie backlash, which we'll talk about here in a second. But this is one for more of our movie aficionados, which means Rob and Rick. I did a list of the top 10 most misandrous films of the Me Too era. So if you've noticed, ever since Me Too, there's been a lot of movies that come into theaters that have really turned on the hate against men. So I did a little little list here, so I'll give you guys a preview that everybody else at Bounding in the comments is going to have to wait for. And by the way, I did get approval from John to show this to you, so hopefully Spencer doesn't freak out that I'm showing this to you guys in the chat right now. But so here's the top 10 list. You guys can see if you agree with me or disagree with me. Number 10, I went with Charlie's Angels, the reboot that they did in 2019. This was an abysmal dog crap movie, which in a lot of ways started this whole trend that we're going down of we're just going to portray every single man to be just absolutely either a sexual predator or a buffoon. That seems to be the only two options that we get out of it.
Which came out first? Ghostbusters 2016.
2016. Surprisingly enough, Ghostbusters 2016 is not on my list, and there's a reason. Because there are actually movies that are far worse. Yes, believe me, this list gets worse. So we're starting off with Charlie's Angels here, and
Elizabeth
then jumping.
Banks, by the way.
Oh yeah, the Cocaine Bear and all the other stuff that she failed doing.
Well, what's the next one?
The Woman King, number 9.
Yeah.
So many
Well,
things
by the way,
wrong with this movie.
Before I forget, people were saying that Tanya looked like Viola Davis in The Woman King, and I started.
Oh God.
Oh shit. Oh nah, that's crazy.
That's pretty bad.
Fucking nuts.
Now I was fucking dying.
Yeah, they might as well just have her be a part of the Dahomey, right? This whole idea that, the female warriors were the good guys, even though that has to literally whitewash so much history in order to get any sense of realism out of this film. And this whole notion that, a bunch of old black women with sticks and spears are going to take on like the French army. It's like, stop it. It's like, no one's buying into the Meemaw King. Like, you might as well just let that one go.
Right?
Number 8 is a little film called Last Night in Soho. This is a film that I saw. This is actually almost a halfway decent movie until the ending completely killed this. And I think me, Christian, and even Rob argued about this too. You get to the ending, and what we find out here is that this girl on the right has the ability to go back in time, and she's like watching this like older lady be kind of tortured by the men that she's with. Come to find out that the woman that she's been following this whole time is still alive, and she killed a whole bunch of people, so she's a serial killer. But the message of the end of the movie is that, well, all the Johns that she killed deserved it because they were all taking advantage of her. So she was actually the hero at the end, and then they literally let her go after being exposed as a mass murderer who almost tried to kill the woman in question. That's how much they hated men in this movie, that they had to make that abrupt like left turn that made absolutely no sense to the ending of this film. Like, this is why I absolutely despise progressive storytelling, because it always leads to stuff like this where you just make no sense whatsoever. So there's another one for you to avoid.
You know what's weird about that movie is that all the ghosts that are like are basically warning her of what Sandy is that she's a murderer. And so even all the guys that are supposedly like deserved it are the ones warning her to stay away from her, that she's a killer. So it's like the movie doesn't even get that right. It's very bizarre.
It's like they had to finish with an ending that fit their ideology and made the whole thing fall apart as a result. So that one I was actually kind of bummed out about, because I was with it for the most part up until that completely nonsensical ending that they did. That was just stupid. 7, Don't Worry Darling. I'm pretty sure if you guys have been a recent fan of this channel, you know how we feel about this movie. This is the one that the other friend of Harvey Weinstein, Olivia Wilde, put out there to attack men, saying that men just have to be able to control women because that's how controlling they are. And the ending of this film, spoiler it for alert, because I don't know anyone cares at this point, turns out it's all a simulation. The boyfriend kidnaps the girlfriend and forces them to live in this 1950s style fantasy where she's supposedly happy, but because in her real life she's literally like an ER nurse who works 60 hours a week and is absolutely miserable, and then he's miserable too. So he basically created this like fantasy land where they can both be happy, and the betrayal is that, well, he's still the bad guy because he needs to let her go live her life, which is 60 hours at a hospital, completely miserable on 5 hours of sleep. So yeah, not a great one. And then it didn't do well at the box office either, which is rightly deserved. So that's number 7. Number 6, I'm not sure if you guys remember this one, the Black Christmas remake of 2019. This movie was so bad, I actually had to go back and do a retro review on the 2006 Black Christmas and apologize to that movie because I thought that movie was like the worst Black Christmas movie ever made until I saw this one. This one is one of these secret society. All the women are like the good guys and all the men are like the bad. I think I had that picture on here. Like,
It's a shame because the original Black Christmas is I love that movie. It actually, there's some things that even even John Carpenter was inspired by for Halloween. If you look at the intro to Black Christmas, you can kind of see like, oh yeah, maybe you got some ideas from this movie. And it's such a good movie, and to watch two shit remakes use the name is disgusting.
Well, Bob Clark,
absolutely,
his entire career is like good horror movies and then A Christmas Story in 1983. So I always laugh at that, you know, like he did Death Dream, which is about like a Vietnam vet coming back and like being a zombie, Black Christmas, a few others, and then yeah, just amazing director.
Let me just put it here. Number 5 is a film called Hansel and Gretel that came out in 2020. I'm not sure how many of you guys remember
Gretel
this
and
movie
Hansel.
here. Gretel and Hansel, yeah, excuse me. Gretel and Hansel. This was, I don't know how to describe this film. The whole message of the movie is that their parents are dead and they're being hunted down by like an evil satanic witch. But then the witch at a certain point towards the end tells her, the girl obviously, that, hey, you need to ditch your brother because he's holding you back for your potential so that you can be like a witch too and use witchy power. So literally the ending of the movie is like her giving up her little brother so she can also be an empowered woman as well. And she's supposed to be like the mother figure of her little brother because they're both orphans. It was one of the weirdest, most, I wouldn't say borderline satanic because, I mean, you're literally talking about an evil witch being a mother figure to a young girl, telling her to ditch her own family, and then somehow we're supposed to deduce that as she's the good guy in this scenario. I don't know exactly how that worked out, because that doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. But yeah, that whole messaging of that film was so screwed up, and I remember that was very off-putting to me when I saw it in movie theater. So yeah, not very good.
If I was like family to any of the people that wrote and were behind this, I would I'd be like, yeah, at any point you'd probably stab me in the back, you fucking piece of shit.
Oh yeah. Number 4 here was a film called Chaos Walking. I'm very sure you guys remember this one. We'll spoil it for you again because it's a terrible movie and no one cares. They're on a different planet. For whatever reason, all the women on the planet can hear all the men's thoughts. So the men decide that they're going to kill all the women because the men can't handle the women listening to their thoughts. So they just literally murder every single woman in sight. And then the only 2 good guys in the film are literally the 2 gay dads of one of the other characters. And that's how the film is presented to audiences.
So I think I completely forgot about this movie because as soon as you brought it up, it's like the name sounds familiar, but like I'm completely spacing on what it's about. So
no,
that's Daisy Ridley right there. That's
yes.
Yes, I remember it, and I remember laughing a lot because it looked like he was wearing a trash bag throughout the movie, and I was just thinking, well, how are these guys going to reproduce? I mean, did the planet make them able to impregnate each other? It just I didn't understand the point.
The point, or at least the story is that men bad, right?
And the weird thing is, this is supposed to be a novel that's supposed to be the first part of a trilogy. So there were 3 books in this. They based the first book. I mean, they based the movie on the first book, and they had hoped for a trilogy. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, it's not great. So don't bother wasting your time on this one at all. It also sucks. Number 3, Barbie. I think we'll talk more about Barbie in depth once we get to our final topics. We'll just skip that one for now. Number 3, Unpregnant. Now this was the film that my review of this movie got censored 3 times on Letterboxd before I was finally banned from the site. But let me give you a quick little rundown of this movie. So Unpregnant was a response to all the heartbeat bills back like 3 or 4 years ago. And here's the premise. This girl, teenage girl, and her boyfriend, they get pregnant. Now, normally in stories like this, they would portray the man as the bad guy in this scenario, saying that, oh, you have to go get an abortion. I'm gonna go pressure you to do something you want, or I'm out of the picture. I'm not taking care of this kid. This is not what happened in this film at all. The kid was initially shocked, like most teenager would be when you knocked out your teenage girlfriend. But he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go to the store. I'm gonna pawn some of my possessions. I'm gonna buy you an engagement ring, and we're gonna raise this baby together because I want to be with you. So he's actually, for a 17-year-old kid, stepping up more than a lot of other 17-year-old kids would in his position. But because this is a female empowerment movie, she decides that she's going to take the engagement ring that he gave her. She's not going to accept it. Instead, she's going to pawn the ring for money so that her and her fat queer best friend can travel to another state, I think New Mexico, so they can go get an abortion and abort his child. So they're literally using the money from his engagement ring to go to another state and abort his baby. And somehow he's the bad guy in this scenario. To the point where when he tries to stop her from getting this abortion, at the very least get his engagement ring back, the black female pawn shop owner pulls out a shotgun and threatens to kill him because he's trying to stop her from using his engagement ring to abort his child. And this is the message that they're trying to produce in this movie. It was so horrendously bad. Like I said, my review of this movie tore it to shreds, and so badly that Letterboxd had to censor it on 3 separate occasions because I told the truth of what this was.
Yeah, I believe that legally he has the ring belongs to him. She does not get the ring until they actually get married. But before that, the ring legally belongs to him, so he has a case to sue her. She cannot pawn or do anything with that ring because it's based on the promise. It's almost like a promissory note. So,
not to mention that the pawn shop owner literally threatened to murder him for getting his property back, and then proceeded to buy the stolen property. So many laws were broken in this film because, well, we needed to tell an empowering female story, so we had to throw all of our logic out of the window. It's like, what the hell are we even doing here?
But again, remember, something will happen if the plot requires it to.
Oh, by the way, there was one point. There was one point where the fat queer friend, I think, like meets her father somewhere along the road, and I think they knock him out at some point because her father was a dick, and that was like a weird side mission that had absolutely nothing to do with the plot, but it was just like, we need a scene where she knocks out her dad because reasons.
So what's number one?
He's like Saved, or Juno. We didn't have this stuff in there.
Yeah, like I said, not even worse. But the number one film, I want to see if you guys remember this one, was a little film called Widows. Remember this movie?
Oh yeah. This is when this is when movies were still relatively good. 2018 was a pretty good year.
Yeah.
This was lauded as being like such a good heist movie. Steve McQueen was still a respected director at this time. And this was such a piece of shit. Like, I was so unbelievably disappointed by this. I saw it in theaters, and it was so bad. It was unbelievably terrible.
This is a movie that, curiously enough, people are still upset that that there were no nominations. Yeah, there were nominations for Viola Davis.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Remember Daniel Kaluuya?
Yeah. For staring at the guy's face.
Like, what? Yeah, that's great. That's great acting. And they were like, oh, this should have been original screenplay. I'm going, no, I thought it was terrible. But for some reason, people really embraced it and thought this was a great film. I didn't think it was a great film by any stretch, but I really going against the grain.
Yeah, so this film basically portrayed every single man in this movie as murderers, rapists, drug dealers, criminals, and whatnot. It's like the whole point of this film was that Viola Davis was married to Liam Neeson, and then apparently Neeson's group was going to rob somebody, and then somehow they died before the heist happened. So now the person wants the money through the women, so that the women have to do the heist that the men have to do. And then some point in the end of the movie, one of the guys gets robbed or something like that, and that just resolves the entire issue. Like, they never actually paid back the guy who they set up the entire film to pay back in the first place, and just ended abruptly. And I was like, Wait, that's it? So like, what was even the point of like watching 2 hours of whatever the hell that film was supposed to do? Just to go ahead.
No,
So you can have the fucking cheap reveal of Liam Neeson never died and was hiding for 2 hours the whole fucking movie. Spoiler alert, by the way.
We did get a great meme out of it when Viola Davis just like shakes her head and walks out. So it does have one plus.
Oh, that's where it's from. I didn't fucking know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where it's from.
By the way, there was also a scene where like a bunch of white cops just randomly shoot Viola Davis's son and kills him for like no reason whatsoever because Black Lives Matter, and that all scene was also just randomly thrown in there for no context whatsoever. So, those are my top 10 plus some honorable mentions that Josh is gonna have to edit later on tonight too. So.
I when I was listening to your, I came up with a few that I would like to submit for consideration.
Oh, go
There's
ahead.
the 2006 remake of The Wicker Man, where you had a group, an island of women who were going to sacrifice Nicolas Cage. It's
The
not.
bees.
It's yes, the bees.
Well, first of all, I said in the Me Too era, so that means like the last several years. So you're going back way too far for
That's too
clarification.
far. Okay. Well, here's some that would qualify. I'm gonna have to cross that one out. Women Talking, which won Best Original Screenplay. I mean, the whole thing was all these men are raping them in this little Amish Mennonite village, and they just spend the whole time just talking about how they're going to leave or not leave, and I was like, this is so boring.
Rob painted that film perfectly. It's like, what better way to get people into a movie theater by naming a film "Women Talking"?
Yes, the only male who was not apparently a rapist was the guy who was taking down notes. And that's because he had left the community and came back, kind of like an Amish type situation. She said, the one that exposed Harvey Weinstein, yes, all the men were just horrible, and I mean just they were.
Don't forget that random scene that had no context where they're at a bar and some random guy like harasses them because reasons. And then
putting in and doing a double feature on Carey Mulligan, someone I do like. Promising Young Woman is probably the nadir of a lot of these films. I saw that, and I know a lot of people put in their 10 best, and it won original screenplay, and people were really pulling for Mulligan to win Best Actress. I saw it, and I named it, I think, one of my 10 worst films of that year. I thought it was really hateful and vindictive, and it was just horrible. The premise didn't really make any sense. This woman who pretends to get drunk to get soon picked up by guys who she presumes will probably rape her until she lectures them about how bad they are. And I said, well, the strange thing is, what happens if a guy actually helps her, like to a cab? What happens if a man literally does kill her? She's putting herself at great risk to do this bizarre experiment. What if a group of women come in? I mean, there were so many things. And of course, there is one guy who doesn't quite get far enough to take her to his place and try to assault her. And coincidentally or not, that man was black. So I assumed that they could not go that way and try to portray a black man as being a potential rapist, but they could assume all the white guys would be. And even the semi-decent boyfriend that she kind of finds, of course, he was also part of that group that raped her friend and that drove her to insanity and in this bizarre master plan. That was
like a Lifetime movie.
Oh,
it is Oscar bait. That's even worse.
And it won original screenplay. That's the really sad thing.
It conveniently sets up a victim narrative and for the main character to preach to the audience and hit you over the head with its fucking nonsense. And it's supposed to make women in the audience go, yes, queen. We are mistreated and we are sick of being, abused and blah, blah. It's just a bunch of fucking nonsense. It's a terrible movie. It's bitter. It's angry. And it really has nothing to say other than it's hard being a woman. And,
and on that note,
Carey Mulligan is actually a
that
very good actress. And that's what's so insulting about her choices.
And on that note, let's jump over to Barbie because that's our last story of the night, which is the reaction to Barbie. Now, look, me, Rob, Culture, Tom, Paulie, we did a whole full-length review on Barbie on the Friday night show. I suggest you guys go back and watch that when you want our full context of why that movie sucked. I want to talk about specifically the reaction to this. Specifically, the reaction by two numbskulls who have now given the media a reason to say that, oh, the people who don't like Barbie are those white nationalist conservative types. And let's start this off with Mr. Ben Shapiro, who did like a 46-minute long review of the film on his YouTube channel. A great job. And then this is what he decided to do on his little thing. I'll pull this up here. So now everyone is saying that, oh, look, the conservatives are burning Barbie dolls now because they're so outraged about the movie, all because Ben Shapiro did this.
What the run?
So now everyone online is running with the narrative that conservatives hate Barbie, and this is now a political thing, all because this dum-dum decided to do that. So now all the focus has been removed from just how bad the movie all actually is onto Ben Shapiro's reaction to this film. And then right on top of that, you had the complete opposite reaction of that, which are the people who are trying to pretend like this movie is actually good because they don't want to be seen as wacko conspiracy nuts like Ben Shapiro, which gives us to Tomi Lahren's reaction to this film, essentially defending the Barbie. And here's her case for defending this film. I'll play this here.
The Barbie movie officially hit theaters over the weekend, and some of my fellow conservatives really have their panties in a twist over it and feel like this movie is anti-man. No duh. It's a movie about a fictional doll living in a Barbie dreamland of pink glitter and high ponytails. Come on now. The male characters, including and especially Ken, are a little soft and a little oblivious. And have you looked around at modern day America lately? I hate to be the bearer of the bad yet completely obvious news, but a large majority of young men are, wait for it, a little soft and a little oblivious. And if you are relying on the Barbie movie to correct that or somehow override that perception, that's a lot to ask of a movie about a damn doll, folks. I'm all for fighting the culture war and for pushing back on some of the wokeness displayed in popular culture, but the faux outrage over this movie is not a good look and also kind of annoying. We've got a lot of battles to fight for the heart of this country, and I don't think picking this one is strategic or useful in the slightest.
So I just want to point out here.
Cunt anyway, so fuck off.
Let me set you up here for a second, but I just want to point out this is the same woman who, like a handful of years ago, literally did a video crying about the fact that she couldn't find a man who wanted to date her because, in her estimation, that men weren't strong enough to date a strong female like her who has a job and a whole bunch of money, and couldn't figure out why that wouldn't be attractive to a quote unquote high value man. This is literally a video she put out years ago. It's still on the internet. Go find it. So I hate everyone involved in this whole thing because, like I said, we went through.
I hate everyone. Just stop right there. You're good.
Yeah, I mean, Shapiro's an idiot because, like I said, now the focus is on his reaction to the film, which is going to just drive away all attention from the actual issues involved with this movie. And there actually are legitimate issues, especially the way that this film, the message of this film and how it's pretty much directed towards young women so that they can adopt a lot of these radical feminist ideas. And hey, let me let you guys on a little note here. If you thought women are bad now, wait until see how women are in about 10, 15 years after they have adopted this ideology. Once all these Zoomers grow up, it's going to be a whole lot worse than it is now. And then you have Tomi Lahren, who is somehow trying to position herself to be the rational conservative by saying that, hey guys, this isn't the hill to die on. There's more important things than the Barbie movie. Meanwhile, I saw like one of the first articles that came up after she posted that called her Nazi Barbie. Tomi Lahren says something, and she actually makes a good point. So even though she's trying to defend Barbie from conservatives, they're still calling her a Nazi. So it's like, you're an idiot just as much as Ben is an idiot. I hate everyone involved here. I'm just gonna let you guys rant about how dumb these people are. I'll start with Orange Hat. You guys can say whatever the hell you want. So go ahead.
Yeah, I've been itching for this for the entire time. Tomi Lahren, like I said in a short that I did, should stick to her fucking wheelhouse. There are two freaking arenas in the culture war, bitch. One is the politics in which you are, or that is your wheelhouse. The other is entertainment, which is all of our wheelhouse. Stay in your fucking lane, because that movie is not just misandrist, it's misanthropic, meaning it fucking hates people, period. It hates humanity because it paints them in the worst fucking light. Now, I haven't seen Barbie. I'm not going to see it because I have no interest in giving my money to any of that kind of shit. But you saying, oh, it's faux outrage. Bitch, we're trying to fight against this shit because you're too fucking dumb, because you're fucking blonde, to even get why it's important to fight against this sort of shit. We are actually taking active time out of our days, out of our freaking lives, to make sure that we inform people that this kind of stuff is what they are using to poison the minds of kids and to get them to think, oh, this is acceptable behavior. No, this isn't acceptable behavior. And as far as Ben Shapiro, dude, you were a fucking idiot to even go to that movie, or I would have told my producers, go fuck yourself. I'm not watching that movie. I don't give a shit. You're a political commentator. You're not a fucking movie reviewer. Most of your fucking movie reviews are way off fucking kilter. They suck. It's like you didn't even fucking watch the movies. As for Tomi Lahren, you want to say that, oh, conservative, or it's faux outrage? What? Or most of the time I ever see you on Fox, most of the shit, you are literally speaking for the entire conservative movement. You are not the entire conservative movement. Most are in what people say are extreme far right. You actually are the one person who gives them the most ammunition for it, because you have come up with some dumb fucking takes. But anyway,
Yeah, she
that's
sounds
my
like
freaking
somebody.
rant.
Yeah, I mean, she sounds like a fucking Barbie clone herself. You know,
She is a
sounds
fucking
like
Barbie
somebody.
clone.
Yeah, but she sounds like somebody who wants to celebrate the frivolity and the nonsense that's sort of on display aesthetically, without even getting into, you know, what the movie is, what it presents, what it. I mean, I kind of wanted to share this. Maybe I'm reaching here, but that end of that movie where, you know, Barbie gets a vagina, it's like, is this sort of like a trans allegory in that anybody can become a woman? Anybody, even if you're not born one? I don't know.
I
But
mean,
like,
there's literally a trans Barbie in the movie too.
no,
So.
right. Hari Neff, who has worked with Sam Levinson in the past, and who I've seen in things like The Idol, Assassination Nation, and I forget, they were in something else earlier this year that I can't place. But look, the Ben Shapiro, Tomi Lahren, like, these are idiots. These are stupid people. Ben Shapiro, like, the more he's in the public spotlight, just seems like he's LARPing as hello, my fellow straight men. But whatever. I'm not here to question his sexuality. He just looks lame and like a fucking dork. But look, Barbie is a bad fucking movie. It's terrible. It's for idiots. Which is why it's perfect for millennial women. But no, it's a dumb, silly movie. I get it. Like, you just want to have a good time at the movies and not think too hard. Okay, but like, maybe absorb what is actually being communicated to the audience. I think that there was one nice scene, and it's Barbie on that park bench with the old lady. You know what I mean? Like, that was a nice little scene. That's about it. Everything else is so bitter. It's so filled with like commentary on the politics of the sexes. It's weighed down by all this shit that they're beating the audience over the head with. So look, conservative or not, it's a stupid fucking movie. And I think that people should be able to say that. They should be able to point that out. If you have, cultural issues with it, that's fine. Personally, I just think it's inherently lacking in ideas or interesting perspectives or characters that you want to gravitate towards. It's just kind of an empty, stupid movie to me.
By the way, the only reason why
in a nutshell, actually.
the only reason why Ben Shapiro is still relevant is because his sister's giant Jewish boobs. That's the only reason why people still talk about him to this day as a meme. Like, screw
she is fantastic.
Not
That's
for
all I'm
nothing.
gonna say.
Not for nothing.
I don't know
He
who
is such a grifter cunt, Ben Shapiro. Like, I cannot fucking stand him. Like, he is so obnoxious, and yeah, he does come off as like a little bitch. And not for nothing, I'm a female, and I wouldn't be caught dead at watching the fucking Barbie movie without, like, unless I was going with another girl. Like, that's how like, I absolutely detest Barbie. You have to be someone I give a fuck about to be seen at a movie theater watching that bullshit. Okay, so for this fucking clown to go see this, what do you add to the conversation? Unless you're gay. I don't really know what else to say. Maybe you're fucking gay. I don't really know. But be honest about it. Like, I think it's important for women, particularly, to have a conversation about this film, because it's projected to women. Like, I want to see what mothers do think about this film, because the weird thing about it is it seems as though it was pitched to be for everyone, for young little impressionable girls, for women my age. It was projected as the celebration of Barbie in the most like non-heinous way. Meanwhile, the movie's like PG-13 and discusses topics that shouldn't be introduced to little girls. Like, it's just that discussion from a point of a the female's perspective is really what I'm interested in hearing. That's why I watched a review from Miss Cannoli Sasquatch, a fellow YouTuber. I think had an interesting take on it. Like, Ben Shapiro reviewing Barbie is like the dumbest fucking thing.
Well, I would say first off, Cassie, that at the screening I went to Barbie, because I was really hoping to participate in the Friday night, but for one weird reason I couldn't. I did see a mother, and I presume it was a mother and daughter. Was it little girl? They left before the movie ended. They walked out, and they never came back. I really, on the surface level, don't have an issue with Ben Shapiro reviewing Barbie. He can review any movie that he wants. I think the thing about burning the Barbie doll, I mean, I get that was supposed to be some kind of joke or humor thing, but I don't know if he should have spent 43, 46 odd minutes going over the minutia of everything wrong with Barbie. He just could have summed it up faster and just said, okay, well, this is why, XYZ, this movie is bad. But it does drive the focus, as Jacob said, it does drive the focus away from the movie itself into his reaction. And it seems that conservatives and liberals have joined in mocking him. And it pains me, because I don't have a problem with Ben Shapiro per se, and I'm a little depressed that he might actually be taller than me. But as for, I know it's sad. As for the other person, that I have no idea who that woman is. I don't.
Me neither.
I really have no idea. All I kept thinking of is that song from Earth Girls Are Easy. Because I'm a blonde. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a very good song. That should have won Best Original Song. So yeah. I don't know who this woman is. I don't care who this woman is, but for her to kind of dismiss the issues that the movie has, I mean, think about it. One thing that bothered me in Barbie was that the women, the Barbies at the end, still did not want to grant the men, the Kens, any basic rights. It was like, oh well, yeah, maybe we'll appoint you to a lower level courts, but we're not going to appoint you to the Supreme Court. Think about it. That's just really a terrible message to send. That we're going to deliberately oppress a group, or we're going to deny them even the most equal rights because you're men. So I know it's depressing. So it's just there were terrible things in it, and there are legitimate points that people from artistic side or a political side could say that's wrong. For this movie to emphasize this, that, or the other. I mean, the people who are pushing that America Ferrera should be nominated for Best Supporting Actress for that long speech, I thought this is just so forced and heavy-handed. Not every guy, it goes to all the stereotypes that guys have to explain movies.
I mean, to be fair, this other narrative that Ryan Gosling deserves an Academy Award is like, really? Like, this is how bad this year's going to be?
No, not just that, but that song, I'm Just Ken, should be up there. I put this out on Twitter. People, they used to nominate people like Cole Porter, the Gershwins, Irving Berlin, Rodgers and Hammerstein. Now, best original song may be reduced between Peaches from Super Mario Brothers and this song, I'm Just Ken. That's how low we've gotten in terms of songwriting.
You mean the Little Mermaid Scuttlebutt song is going to get nominated too?
Oh God, that could actually get nominated too.
It's terrible.
So
there's one. Okay, Rick. There's one Oscar that Barbie should be nominated for, and it would be art direction.
Yeah, I would say production
that's
design.
about it. That's about it.
Production design and maybe costume, but it's just such a horrible. It's the most stereotypical view when they go into the real world. And yes, of course, some random guy is going to automatically slap Barbie in the ass. I mean, that happens all the time.
Every 10 minutes. Cassie can't even go outside. Nerdigans literally lives in fear of this.
Yes.
It's just so awful. And it's, I mean, that's a sad thing. Shapiro and this other person have made themselves the focus, whether intentional or not. And it's going to just ridicule any legitimate criticism of this movie, both in the artistic and in the political realm, because there are issues to be discussed. But now they're the ones they're drawing attention away from it. And it's sad.
People like Shapiro don't really care about anything besides lining their fucking pockets, not for nothing.
Yeah,
well, they're not there. At least to be fair, he's not selling conservative chocolate and conservative razors, so that's someone else.
That is hacky business partner.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw this on an Indian hat cam, and I'm not fucking paying for this. You insane? I saw it on an Indian hat cam. I laughed. I shed a tear. I understood the allegories it was going for, and I believe that Greta Gerwig dunked on herself by accident. So it presents a feminism that is utterly and totally powerful, possesses absolute control over reality, and it is so stagnant the Barbies don't greet each other any differently in any given day. Every single day is Groundhog Day in Barbie Land. It never ever changes, and when it does, death becomes the immediate question on our protagonist's mind. When it changes, death is what changes her world. So the screeds we hear from America Herrera, or whatever her name is there, America Fierro, she's that screed starts off with, women can't be fat, they can't be thin, they have to be extraordinary, but they can't be overshadowing men. The other side to that speech that people keep forgetting about is she starts digging into the feminists. She says you can't be a mom, but you have to be a leader. But you can't be too much of a leader, because then you're overshadowing other women and keeping their opportunities in your pocket. And she again, Greta Gerwig started she wanted to present like this feminist utopia, but somewhere around, I don't know what happened. Maybe the executives at Mattel came in. I don't know, but somebody came in and they were like, yeah, but no. And so the whole movie presents Ken as having the right idea. Now, let me just explain to you. In less than a day, Ken brings back a book about trucks, horses, and how men run the world. He doesn't even bring back a presidential biography, okay? In less than 3 hours, the entirety of Barbie Land is completely converted into a patriarchy, and a comedic one at that, right?
He literally turned Barbie Land into like a Hooters.
Exactly. The female characters are saying, I'm so happy now that I don't have to think. I'm so relieved I have the pressure of decision making taken off of me. What do we hear? What do we hear from Zoomers on TikTok? I don't want to work. This women's suffrage shit is insane. They keep complaining about it. We see it all the time. So again, what's the solution? How do we defeat the Kens? We have to manipulate them by taking advantage of how lonely they are. That started the whole fucking problem. Okay?
And, the curious thing is that, and I think I put this in my notes. It's like, did they not see the Stepford Wives? That's pretty much what happened when Ken returned with the thing about the patriarchy.
Yeah,
It's like,
but listen, read this. Let me just read this out loud. The right way to interpret the Barbie movie is as a Shakespearean tragedy, with Ken as a tragic hero, a would-be ubermensch of high birth, unparalleled vision and will, whose noble pursuit of strength and vitality is hindered by his fatal flaw, desiring the approval of women.
I can't help but think that of Nature Boy. That is freaking.
Well, that's what they went for. He literally looks like Ric Flair in the finale of his movie. Then he pulls a Trump when he doesn't win and runs in and starts crying. I mean, it's the feminism you meme. It's women posting their L's the movie. And the solution to this whole thing for Barbie, not to get married, not to have kids, she gets a ghost vagina from a dead woman and immediately wants to go to a doctor to make sure it works.
and it's curious. Even in the
Women obsessed with their vaginas, right?
In Barbie
Keep in mind, Amy Schumer was supposed to be in this movie at one point.
In Barbie Land, all the men are just useless, and I think someone pointed out they're basically homeless because we never get to see them. Except Alan is the ally. Alan is the ally to the women. In the real world, America Ferrera's husband, who's played by her real life husband, his only characteristic is that he struggles with his Spanish.
Yep.
And
well, not only that, but you thought that he wasn't even in the picture until like halfway into the movie where they mentioned, oh yeah, by the way, he's still around.
She cucks him, by the way, when she's doing the stunt driving. The girl asks, "Who taught you how to drive like this?" She says, "There was a guy." And the girl says, "Was he dad?" And she goes, "Yeah, he was dad."
Yeah.
And let me just point out some things. First off, the guy, that's her real life husband. That's America Ferrera's real life husband. Ryan Pierce Williams, I believe his name is. He's from El Paso. He didn't go to my high school, but he went to a school that I know. He should first off know that here in El Paso, pen is pluma, not bolígrafo. Bolígrafo is what they taught to the teacher, but here it would be pronounced pluma. Secondly, his pronunciation of si se puede sounds like Dr. Biden's version, si se puede. And third, both women criticize him. Like his daughter says that's appropriation, and America was like, oh, that's a slogan or whatever it was. And I'm thinking, that's just so ridiculous. Cultural appropriation. His daughter is the most miserable person in the movie. She's supposed to be empowered and she's sitting around with all her friends, but when you look at them, they look like the female version of the trenchcoat mafia, for heaven's
Yes.
They're
yes. But what happens to them, Rick? What makes them better? As the mother and daughter's relationship improves and both of them become happier and more expressive and more open about themselves, they're wearing dresses. They have hair pieces. We meet this girl with greasy hair, a hoodie, and pants that don't fit her. At the end of the movie, she looks like she belongs in one of those fucking boxes.
But the thing is, like, when I saw them,
That's right,
I looked
women.
at them. I saw them. And they're about to tell they tell her that you're a symbol of sexist capitalism or sexual capitalism or what have you. First off, I don't think any tween or teen would actually speak that way. Secondly, when I saw them, none of them were smiling. They looked miserable. They all were dressed in dark. I'm going, this is not a happy person. None of these people are happy people. Why do you want me to believe that they're the good people? I mean, I don't expect them to be as perky and cheerful as the stereotypical Barbie, but why do you have to be the complete opposite? I just did not get that. And just, Mr. Williams, I know you don't know me because, you're a fellow Pasoan, but you know better than to say bolígrafo. You should say pluma. Here in El Paso, we say pluma for pen. And I say this as someone who speaks Spanish. He did it because his wife told him to. And stop embarrassing yourself, please. You bring El Paso down.
What I get out of this is Ben Shapiro decided he wanted to hate the movie, so he sat down to find every reason he could to hate it. What I found, the other end of this was Tomi Lahren went in wanting to like it and ignoring every reason not to. So You have both ends that went in with a blindfold. If you go in without the blindfold, you'll laugh at certain parts. I almost fell out of my chair that I'm sitting in right now when Ken goes to the library, right? And he's like, I'm going to go get books about trucks. And Barbie says, don't get into trouble. He says, I'm not going to get into trouble. And he goes, that's hilarious. I love that. It's so innocent and fun. It's like, he has no idea what a truck is. It's great. It's hilarious.
Editor's note: Cider may or may not have been intoxicated while watching this film. So
well, no, it's not that I didn't go in. I didn't go in wanting to hate it. I went in trying to understand it. I didn't go in trying to like it or anything. I wanted to understand what they were trying to accomplish. Greta wanted to do row girl power. They did the complete opposite at the end.
Yeah, it didn't. I said this on Friday. It did not know what it was trying to communicate. I honestly believe that, and I think it goes back to that interview Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig did, where they're talking about like feminism and how everybody should be a feminist because it means you believe in equality, and it's like that's not what feminism means anymore. Okay, and
that's not what the movie means
spell
either.
that out. Exactly. Yep. No, exactly.
So I have a question in regards to this movie. Is like Barbie wanting to have like a vagina like trans allegory, or is it more like Pinocchio wanting to be a real
okay,
boy?
so what happens? So what happens is, and I'll make it quick. So what happens is, the end of the movie, Barbie meets Ruth, the creator of Barbie. She's a ghost, and the current president's like, oh, she rents an office on the 17th floor. And, that kind of thing. So it's a nice little joke about how Ruth's ghost is still in Barbie. And so they meet, and Ruth explains, patriarchy's a thing that people make up. And so is Barbie. It helps them deal with the world and the trouble that they can't control, that kind of thing. She's a little tiny Jewish lady. So she does that whole thing. But the final montage where Barbie gets her vagina, the movie doesn't talk about that. You get like one scene before this that mentions she doesn't have a vagina. It's meant to sound kind of like they're aliens, but it just sounds like they're trans. So it's really weird because Barbie's like, I don't have a vagina. He doesn't have a penis. And Ken's like, yeah. It's one of those things. And they're glad about it because they're Barbie dolls. They're just life-size, walking around, joints active Barbie dolls. But at the end of it, she gets a light behind her. She sees like this old 70s, 60s home footage of girls playing with babies, actual babies, women holding up their children, like this ye olde 60s, 70s cellular, whatever the hell it is, footage. Mm-hmm. And like, it just kind of like drifts away from that imagery. You don't have any like noise. You don't get a pop noise. You don't get like Barbie realizing she has a vagina. None of that. She just shows up in the office. And you don't even know it's the gynecologist's office. You assume she's like at the employment office or something or whatever. But then all of a sudden it's like, I'd like to get my vagina checked out.
Yeah, I'm here to see the gynecologist.
Yep.
Yeah, and I just forgot my point.
But that's
probably wasn't important anyway.
The end of it doesn't attack mothers. It was really surprising to me how much footage they put in there of women interacting with their daughters, little girls interacting with babies being in the picture in montage. That surprised me. I was honestly expecting it to be like a bunch of women's protest stuff and whatnot in that montage. Not a bit of it.
No bra burning.
Yep. But I will say this, the Supreme Court thing was clearly added after the fact. They were trying to respond to the abortion ban, and that's why the Supreme Court was brought up constantly in that fucking movie. That's why the Kens were trying to change the Constitution. That was a symbolism for men banning women the right to abort.
Gee,
that's what that whole thing was about.
That's got to be why the whole vagina thing happened at the end of the movie too, was because of the Roe v. Wade stuff. Like, that's so insulting, dude. That's so patronizing. Just thinking about
exactly.
It, it's so patronizing.
It dunked on itself.
Oh, come on. Like, a Barbie movie's supposed to be just a fun little campy movie, kind of like with what, the Lego movie had.
There are 48 animated movies to pull from right now on Netflix.
Yeah, we have a lot of them in the library. It's curious that Weird Barbie, and to me, she looked like Phyllis Diller. Weird Barbie was at one point commenting I wonder what's in under Ken's what Ken's package is like under his pants.
No, she says I'd like to see his flesh-colored underwear.
Yes, I thought it was bizarre. It was a bizarre comment to make, and still there's just something really ridiculous. This movie just sinks into the worst stereotypes that all men are just going to be really just hooting and hollering. This is close to that Gillette commercial where all the guys are like sexist pigs, are about to just go after women like this. It's just
Well, see, they tried this, right? They tried this, and so the Kens never sexualize the Barbies. It's their costumes that go that way, but the Kens themselves have no idea what sex is. It's in the beginning of the movie. Ken goes to Barbie and he's like, "I'd like to stay over tonight," and she's like, "And do what?" And he says, "I have no idea." It continues on where like the Kens have no idea why they want to be with the Barbies. And that's the crux of Ken's realization at the end of the movie is I'm just Ken. I don't need to be Barbie and Ken. I can just be Ken. It dunked on itself. It's like, no, go be men and leave the women to rot.
Cider, we can start using you on some of our movie review podcasts. I think
Find me hat cams. I'm not paying for this shit.
Hey, I endorse hat cams. The one down there doesn't, but I mean, we're more than willing to give you Raider based stuff.
I'm not a purist on that. It's curious, the reason that the Kens don't know anything about sex is that they're too busy threatening to beat each other off.
Yeah, they're gonna beat each other off. Yeah, with both hands.
Yeah, that's all.
I do want to say this. I agree with. That's what I was originally thinking was what Josh was saying is that if this movie was a lot like Enchanted, where it was just fun, high camp, you had all the sets there. It was right there, and you didn't do it.
Well, let me say this one here.
Enchanted though likes fairy tales. This movie does not like Barbie. It seems to hate what it's trying to present.
The thing is, I'm impressed that the middle school library has so many books that Ken could just take, without even bothering to check out or just register. He just
Adults saw a full-grown male dressed as a gay rodeo clown walking around a high school, and were just cool with that. They were just like, that's normal where we are. That's cool. So
and then there's the Snyder Cut joke. Oh my god, that shit was
I didn't even. I mean,
that was so painful and forced. Like we played that.
That wasn't funny at all.
The movie tries to ingratiate. Like I had a lot of friends that were girls growing up. My father told me it was better to be a man among women than a man among girls, and well, he was right. So anyway, so the what happens is that Weird Barbie is supposed to be this allegory for like the school nurse or your health teacher that's like unabashedly okay talking about condoms and sex and all the weird things your body goes through growing up. So that's what she's supposed to be. She's supposed to be that weird health teacher that's got the pixie cut and listens to you too. But Smashing Pumpkins. Yeah, it's Smashing Pumpkins on her lunch break. Exactly.
Yeah.
Drives a VW Beetle but complains about everybody else's emissions.
Listens to NPR.
You know exactly who this person is.
She's Phyllis Diller, for heaven's sakes.
But that's why Ben Shapiro hates this movie, is that kind of like callback to like little girls growing up. Because unfortunately, the way that our society as humans handles this is we choose to attack this by just being purely sexual about how we explain this to both ends of the spectrum. I remember growing up, I was told I can't learn about vaginas. In 5th grade, when we were first introduced to this concept that we have genitals and they're different, in 5th grade, when we had this first health grade thing, we were told girls get to learn about both. Boys only learn about theirs. And that's what they did to us. Now, what this does is it completely encapsulates sex in the female mind. They now understand how both parts work, and it leaves the guys over here trying to figure out how they work. All right? So it leaves us completely in the dark. And you wonder why we can't find the clitoris. They don't tell us. So
because they don't want you to turn the world into a Buffalo Wild Wings. That's why.
So that creates kind of like this weird sort of social circle for women alone, especially young girls as they come into this puberty thing, you know? And so the movie kind of encapsulates that, especially with the other weird, strange Barbies, like the Barbie with the camera, the Barbie with the inflatable boobs. They're all supposed to represent these outliers that end up in the circle of the health teacher, because there's always going to be that one pretty girl that goes through puberty too quick. And she meets all the other weird girls that are going through it too, and they all become friends. And that's supposed to be the little bit of this story going on here. But Ben Shapiro didn't experience that. He experienced being dunked in a toilet and shoved into a locker. So when he has the memories of these time periods brought to him, it's nothing but anger. So he decides to light Barbie dolls on fire to take out his prepubescent rage.
Yeah. Well, look, I'll go ahead and wrap it up by saying this. First of all, just real quick, we got 30 people watching on Rumble, 20 people watching on YouTube. So this would be a great time to like and subscribe if you haven't already. And all I have to say is, first off, to Tomi Lahren.
Would you please shut the hell up?
And then secondly, for Mr. Ben Shapiro.
You fucking mark!
Yeah, I think that pretty much sums how I feel about both of those guys. So, like I said, Barbie sucks. Don't go watch it. Oppenheimer was pretty solid. Mission Impossible's probably dead, so I'm pretty sure Tom Cruise is going to have to do some kind of sacrifice to Xenu or wherever his god is in order to appease his failure with that movie. And I said I had a leak to nowhere. I was going to hop in. Yeah, I mean, we're literally about to hop out now. I mean, I knew you were going to jump in. We can go on now. But
if you need a chick flick, you can get through. Age of Adeline is just interesting enough that you can get through to the credits. Just so you know.
That one was actually it has Blake Lively, so that can't be possible. I'm sorry.
Immortal Blake Lively. Come on.
Well, we're about to wrap things up right now, so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a chance to promote what you got coming up. Got a couple of announcements to make, one that's going to crush the soul of our editor, Josh. I'm going to start off with Orange Hat. What do you got coming up, man?
Well, I'm Orange Hat Reviews. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter, at Orange Hat Patriot on Twitter. I do mystery reviews on Tuesday, and Tuesday nights, or Tuesday mornings, I do the mystery, or afternoons, I do the mystery reviews. And evenings, I'm here on the Barroom Podcast. Wednesdays, 2 Wednesdays a month, I'm on Jade Shadow's channel for the 1s and 2s. We're going to be doing Evil Dead 1 and 2 for August. And Sundays, I do Infinity Saga Sundays. We're going to be talking Spider-Man Homecoming this upcoming Sunday with my Hat crew. And Monday, for the next 5 weeks, because I already did one last week, I'm doing Monday Mayhem with, by myself. I'm doing Sharknado reviews for the Sharknado movies, which, for some weird reason, my mom actually likes those movies because of how ridiculous they are. So, yeah. Also, the hint for next week is the definitive 80s cop movie.
Oh, I wonder what that one could possibly be. Nerdigittens, good to see you finally joining us again. So what you got coming up that we should know about?
Well, besides rubbing my kitty's belly, who's just adorable right now.
Yeah, you have to specify you are in fact talking about a cat when you say things like that.
Yes,
so.
I have. See, he's right here sitting on my lappy like a little baby key.
I don't know how a vagina has a belly, but okay.
I mean, there are fupas. I mean, Cassie, let's not discriminate.
So, Nerdigans, what's going on? What have you got coming up?
Well, you can find me on my YouTube channel, Nerdigans Inc., where I cover manga and anime daily. And on Bounding, I am getting as much content done as I can so I can pay my rent that's due next week. And on my channel, I've started covering Rurouni Kenshin and Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War for this upcoming anime season, or this ongoing, excuse me. And God, is it so good. Well, Bleach is especially. Kenshin is very iffy because of stiffness in terms of the art animation. But that's a whole different story. Anyways, when I'm not doing all that, I will be here. I'll start trying to be here more often. So stay tuned for that. And if the retro review Wednesday streams come back, I'll try and do that too. We'll see how things are. Anyways.
All right. Cassie, you're up.
Yeah, guys, it's fun hanging out with y'all. If you haven't, follow me on Kick, Twitter, and YouTube, Cult Classic Cage. This Thursday, I'll be live streaming, talking about all sorts of gaming shit going on, and it's gonna be a fun stream. I stream every Thursday, and it's hilarious. My birthday just so happens to fall this Thursday, but I am obligated to do what I guarantee that I will do. So we're gonna be there. We're gonna have fun. Definitely join me if you have some free time, and let's hang, man.
All right, Rob, the most hated critic on Twitter. What do you got coming up?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go see Oppenheimer tomorrow again in IMAX, so I'm looking forward to that. And then I'm gonna try to actually write a review on it. Gonna actually, do my job for once. As the hobby I supposedly love, talking about movies. So go see it if you get the chance. I mean, I know this crowd isn't the biggest moviegoers, but I could say that it's definitely worth 3 hours of your time. It may not be the most exciting movie, but I do think it's one of the best movies to come out this year. So I can definitely highly recommend it.
All right, Rick.
All right. Well, I'm just trying to hang on financially. I'm trying to hang on to my job. As for other things, just my reviews. I'm hoping to start the series now that we're coming up in August for the TCM Summer Under the Stars. I like to write a review for as many of the featured players as possible. Also, my weekly haiku. I did have one, but I didn't post it, so I'll probably post two this Saturday. And yeah, that's just probably it. Just trying to stay, financially afloat despite the Biden boom. So that's pretty much all my spiel.
All right. Cider has something that he wants to bring up to us real quick. So what is that gonna
be? You're enough. And you're great at doing stuff. Check you out. You're just a dude. And that's enough. Remember that. Because that's what Barbie taught us. Men are fucking awesome. Women, well, they get boring after a while, apparently. So,
well, I'm gonna go give you the floor now.
Well, speaking of that wonderful news, John De La Rose is planning on putting on a stream either Wednesday or Thursday to talk about his adventures at San Diego Comic-Con. I didn't know what that name was for a minute there. So tune in for that. And I eventually put up content on my channel, but it's just too hot. And I just don't feel like doing YouTube when it's hot.
Oh, poor baby. It was like 70 degrees over there.
Yeah, it's like 75 right now, and I feel like I'm melting.
Yeah, it's like 70 degrees here, like now, like here in Georgia. So you can only imagine what it's like in the daytime.
Yeah, right.
It's about 81. It's about between 80 to 90 degrees at 4 a.m. in El Paso.
It's literally 75 degrees here right now, and tomorrow's high is going to be 95. It's going to be mid 90s all week plus humidity. So
I think we're finally going to hit 99 degrees on Saturday, which would be the first time in over 2 weeks, if not more, that will be under 100 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah.
I live somewhere where it's 8 months of winter. So
it's going to be under 100 here.
When it gets up to 80,
all the 90s where I'm at.
Nobody asked you about your weather, nerdigans.
That's fine. It's fine. It's just when you melt, it sucks.
Yeah, but look, this Friday we're not going to be doing a stream. That stream's been pushed to Saturday. So me, Rob, maybe Rick. I'm not sure what Rick's schedule is, but we're going to be reviewing the latest Nicolas Cage film, Sympathy for the Devil. So we're going to be watching that one. That one I do believe is a VOD release. So there is some Raider Bay links to be happening there. So we'll watch and review that movie on Saturday night. Monday night, we're going to be doing the next episode of the Bible Lens podcast. Last night we did one on the compromise of the church. Very controversial topics there. Go back and watch that one. Had a pretty good interaction with those guys on Monday night. That show is actually doing pretty solidly. And then tomorrow night, Black Pill stream. My Josh probably going to be there. I don't think Spencer's going to be there tomorrow night, but we will be doing the Black Pill stream tomorrow night on the Battling in the Comics.
Is joining us. Yep.
Oh, really? Okay, well, good to know. There's a little extra promotion there. So, yeah, definitely go check us out tomorrow night on that episode as well. So, those are some of the things that we got coming up here on the chat. For everyone in my panel here tonight, Orange, Cassie, Rick, Nerdigans, Rob, Slider, all of you guys, glad you joined us for the show tonight. For everyone who joined us throughout the course of the night in the chat, I know Tom Connors wanted to join in, but we just wrapped up here. Culture Casino, who joined us tonight. Then, of course, our regulars who are here every night, Neozoic, JEC, Duke Nukem, Drax the Clown, Tactus Jones, Boba Fett, Leslie Tarkin, Vanya, Excalibur, Rico, Alex vs. Evil, Josh is here with us tonight, Kentucky Dragon is joining us in the course of the night, Rich Swag Lord, make sure I didn't miss anyone here. Christopher Dominguez, I should say, was here throughout the course of the night. We had a lot of people joining us in both on Rumble and on Twitter tonight. Kate, over the course of this night as well. So if I missed you, I just want to say thank you for joining us for another Tuesday night. I mean, hopefully we'll see you guys Saturday night for the movie review show, Monday night for the Bible In show, and hopefully we'll see you guys here next week. Now, it's the point of the show where I have to break Josh's heart because I have to make the announcement that we are officially retiring Spring Yard. We're not doing Spring Yard anymore. I have a brand new outro that I'm going to play for you guys here. So rest in peace, Spring Yard. You'll have to watch that on previous shows because here's our brand new outro. Good night, everyone. We're out of here. Bye-bye. Wave.
It's over. Go home.
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Okay.
Get out! Get out!